Oh my gosh. Hi everyone. I'm not too sure if this is going to work or whatnot. Um, so hopefully nothing bad happens for the rest of this, folks. I really am hoping everything's okay. I'm hoping I'm connected right now. 'Cause we had a little bit of an incident and a little bit of an accident here. And I gotta admit, I'm actually quite disappointed. Oh, what's up? Okay, good to know we're finally back. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened at all. But I guess... Yeah, I am... let me explain just what happened for the future reference for whoever else ends up watching this down the line. I am unfortunately, as you can see up on the top, I missed so much. I've read all of that up to that point, and I guess my Wi-Fi at some point through just felt like dying. Yeah. Unfortunately, we lost so much of actually good reading. We missed so unfortunate. I'm Sally. I'm not going to go back and read all that crud. I will scroll up, however, so people can go read it if they would like to in their meantime. It's a very enjoyable read. Nothing bad or anything. Well, it's kind of bad. Not bad. But I guess my Wi-Fi just felt like choking on itself halfway through the reading. And I only noticed is like, dang, chat's been quiet for a while. That doesn't make a lot of sense. So I got curious and I investigated. Boom! Recording ended at 8 minutes. What the heck? So unfortunately, I'm going to scroll up. I'll give a rough summary of what has happened. And then I'm going to continue off from where I was. Okay, so we are right here. Well, that's not where I want to be. I'll highlight this part right here. So all of this crud that happened, I'm just gonna scroll up a while. It's super frustrating knowing I was basically talking to myself for over an hour and a half. You know? That sucks. Not to mention, I guess I wasn't recording also, or maybe that stopped working too, because I didn't get any, that wasn't saved. None of that was gone. Gone. All of it, gone. But essentially what happened, they were flying back to Stable 2, where they basically, I'm pretty sure, encountered a Ursa Major, but like a mutated Ursa Major. Sorry, I have to realize I have to scroll up and then scroll down. So we lost 8 minutes of footage. I'm just going to casually scroll down until I reach to that point so people can read it if they would like. And I'll just kind of summarize it as we go through. Essentially what happened, yeah, they fought the Ursa Major, this gigantic colossal beast that was pushed from the Everfree Forest due to Red Eye's forces burning down the Everfree. So some of that stuff made its way to Apple Acres, where they were going to anyway, so they could stop pretty much Blueberry Saber's forces. And a lot of the forces outside, stations outside the place, were killed off. And then they all went inside. I'm trying to like recap though, so I'm not reading crud right now. I'm trying to remember. And then basically they went inside the Stable 2, and now they have witnessed the execution of all of the Vault Dwellers. Little Pip's family strangers and everyone inside Stable 2, and Velvet Remedy. And pretty much most of this is just combat dialogue, but it's very fun. It was a very fun, enjoyable thing to read. Well, that was hopefully not too loud. So, and then we ended off with Little Pip being hit by shrapnel and then going unconscious. Here we are. That was a very bad summary. Otherwise, I would recommend folks please go back, check out chapter... Yeah, the Blueberry Saber's Brotherhood of Steel forces are executing every innocent pony in this stable. Even the innocents. It doesn't matter who. Little Pip and Velvet Remedy have already seen familiar faces alike that are now just lying in pools. It is very graphic. And it's very sad. So, this is chapter 28, I believe. If folks ever want to go read that, it's something, the Night of the Wolf or something. Something like that. I don't know. For technology, I guess, right? Because that's what the Brotherhood of Steel is all technically about. Steelhooves, however, is going against his moral views and is luckily helping our cast. So, with that out of the way, I am going to continue right here. And sorry that I didn't read all that other crud. I would have. But unfortunately, we lost all that dialogue. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. Because that would really suck. I would really be upset if we got disconnected again during this reading. So, after Little Pip got hit by a grenade, she went unconscious. Here we are now. My eyes blinked open. I couldn't feel my body, but somehow I was still alive. My EFS was reading my condition as bad, but stable. I was looking up. I could see lights of Stable 2 overhead. Heard their ever-present buzz. Where am I? Really, Little Pip? Velvet Remedy chitted kindly. With your habits of gross injury, you can't tell me you don't recognize Stable 2's clinic. Calamity? Zenith? Velvet Remedy face leaned into view. The good news is that all three of you are going to survive reclaiming this floor. The bad news is that I've used up all our medical supplies and an unhealthy portion of stables to save you. She glanced away. A few of Zenith's bruised too. Not the whole week. Just this little part of it, I'd say, has been the real hammer in the coffin, the nail in the coffin, whatever. Elder Blueberry Saber had pulled most of her ponies back into the apple orchard, Steelhoof said. She's worried now, and with good cause. She's worried? They nearly killed us, and we were nowhere near the security and Overmare's wing yet. I didn't understand why they weren't just swarming us and helping us out. I said as much. Because there are less of them, and possibly more of us, Steelhoof said bluntly. About 1/5 of the rangers she was leading didn't take too well to what was going on down here. Star Paladin Nova Rage killed one of them for disloyalty, and Elder Blueberry Saber locked away the rest of the dissenters behind a welded door. Explained with why diplomacy hadn't been working. All the ponies that diplomacy might have worked with the Elder had locked up. They're trapped in the school, Velvet interrupted. Steelhooves has been speaking with them. If we can get them out, we'll have nearly a dozen Steel Rangers on our side. Unfortunately, we're having a bit of trouble with that, but Elder Blueberry Saber doesn't know that. As far as she knows, the moment we took this section, we got a whole lot stronger. I tried to get up only to realize that not only could I not feel pain, I couldn't feel anything. Velvet Remedy had used her anesthetic spell on me. I tried to get up again, fervently sending the signals from my brain to my body. I couldn't sense that out to make it move. My body heaved and I fell to the floor with a thud, bloodying my nose. I couldn't feel that either. Now look who's a silly pony, Velvet Remedy giggled. Stop that, or I'll tell Homage that you're into bondage and spankings. I couldn't feel myself blushing, but I'm sure I was. As extra punishment, Velvet let me lay there on the floor as she turned her attention to Zenith. The zebra was still unconscious. Calamity trotted in a short time later. I'm afraid there ain't an easy way to get that door open. Best bet is to cut through it with a blowtorch, and that'll take hours, he whinnied. On the plus side, seems like that's what the enemy is trying to do with the S&O wing. Only those doors are a hell of a lot thicker, and there's more than one of them. Best bet, we've still got a couple hours before they're through. Oh, that's no problem. You know what? I've talked about so many potential art drawings for this chapter alone in this, but guess what? We certainly aren't going to be hearing about that again. Just my luck. I forced my body to roll over, feeling an uneasy sense of accomplishment when I managed it on the third try. I found myself staring up at the ceilings rather than at my friends, which significantly diminished the victory. You know, magical energy weapons would melt through these doors a whole heap over lot quicker. Steel Ranger's battle saddles aren't equipped with magical energy weapons, Steelhooves replied. That is an enclave design. Yeah, said Calamity in an odd tone. That's what I figured. My gaze fell on the grate to the air ducts. Unfortunately, while I was small, I was no chimera. I couldn't fit through them. But Pyrelight? What's that, little Pip? Calamity asked. Pyrelight can get through the air ducts. She can carry a blowtorch to the good guys. Still Rangers trapped inside the classroom. Let them cut their way out, I suggested. Plus she can carry in food and water to them while they work. I like it, Calamity said. The grin, I couldn't see evident in his face, frees us up to continue the mission while we're still providing diplomatic relief. We had a plan. So did Elder Blueberry Saber. While we were busy, the bitch had welded shut every entrance into the atrium except for the passage through the apple orchard. The orchard was a huge open space with only thin trees for nearly useless cover. She would amass her forces inside, creating a kill zone while a few of her soldiers worked on cutting through the security doors. The best plan I could come up with was to float more lockers in front of us, forming a wedge 2 lockers deep and 2 lockers high. Steelhooves and Calamity were going to join me. Velvet had clearly taken far better care of us than of herself, unwilling to use up more than the minimal medical supplies on herself that we might have and did need later. She was still partially crippled from the gunshot wound, and I insisted that she stay behind as a liaison with Pyrelight. Zenith promised Calamity that she would stand guard over our wounded medical pony. To claim that I was in good shape would have been an outright lie, but the pain I was in when the spell wore off was not the worst I had felt, definitely better than being set on fire by a dragon or bucked between the thighs by a scarly strong raider. I could work through it. My legs fore and hind all seemed to work, if stiffly, and could breathe without too much effort and feel my heart beat. Plus, I had my magic and my pip-buck. I was not in optimal fighting shape, but I really didn't need more, and there were ponies counting on me. I'd already seen too many ponies whom I recognized lying dead on the stable floor. I wouldn't allow Elder Blueberry Saber and Star Paladin Nova Rage to add to that number. Steelhooves trotted up behind me as I floated the lockers into formation. A moment later, another Steel Ranger trotted up. Only it wasn't a Steel Ranger. It was Calamity wearing a Steel Ranger's armor from the neck back. His black Desperado hat was still firmly on his orange mane, and he held Spitfire's thunder in his mouth. What are you doing wearing that armor? Steelhooves demanded. Calamity just gave him a look. Okay then, how do you expect to fight in that? Magically powered armor requires months of training to perform even adequate in. Whiff meth. Calamity mouth through his grip on the unique anti-machine rifle. I shook my head, sitting up prepared to Luna for oncoming battle and prayed to Celestia to keep Zenith and Velvet Remedy safe. I telekinetically triggered the door. My brilliant battle strategy lasted about 2 minutes. Like with the debris before, my magic couldn't hold the lockers against the explosive force of their missiles and grenades. I was forced to plant our barricade in the ground, creating a makeshift pillbox about 20 yards into the orchard. The Steel Rangers quickly surrounded us, firing into the lockers, slowly tearing away at our shielding. Our line of sight was limited to small cracks between the lockers, purposefully not large enough to allow a grenade. Even so, I had focused my magic on flinging all grenades back at our attackers until they stopped trying that. The gaps were too small for Steel Hooves to fire through. Calamity was using Spitfire's thunder to great effect, downing a Steel Ranger every time one was foolish enough to make himself or herself visible. The noise was deafening in our metal cage. My ears were ringing so badly I felt I would vomit, but I stayed on task. But the Pegasus was down to less than half a dozen rounds of the rare ammo, even after having pilfered some from the battle saddle of the anti-machine rifle ranger in the saloon. And the twin minigun battle saddle integrated into his armor couldn't be aimed through the tiny cracks. The zebra rifle was out of armor-piercing bullets, and the normal sword didn't have the penetrating ammo to take down a Steel Ranger. I was using my sniper rifle now. It too was out of the armor-piercing ammo, but a well-placed shot to a weaker part of their armor would still go through. Part of me felt chagrin that I was becoming so practiced at defeating Applejack's creation. Calamity and I kept firing. Son of a, Calamity mouthed as he fired a final shot. He motioned to me that he was out of ammo. My hope had been that we could take out enough of them to make moving again an option. From all the red lights on my eyes forward sparkle, we had done admirably, but we were still doomed. I had walked us into a trap with yet another stupid plan, and this time I had probably gotten all of us killed. I wasn't ready to give up just yet. I was about time to try rush and gallop. Steel Hooves and Calamity still had their battle saddles, and for the first time, the only pony not in danger of running out of ammo was our ghoul. Finally being willing to scavenge ammo helped immensely. I focused floating the lockers and hurled them in all directions, aiming at the red markers on my EFS compass. They weren't a lot of force behind the throw, but I released them just before they hit, and suddenly they went from flying weightless lockers to flying damn heavy lockers. A chorus of thuds rang out as several Steel Rangers were clobbered and trapped underneath. Unfortunately, Steel Ranger armor made them strong. They began to buck the metal weights off faster than I expected. We took off at a gallop, running across the orchard for the opposite door. Gunfire and explosions erupted all around us. Dirt and wood filled the air. A missile roared past me, disappearing in the foliage of an apple tree before exploding. I felt applesauce splatter my face. Steel Hooves fired forward, clearing a way ahead. Calamity, bemoaning the magically powered armor's lack of wings, spun and poured out suppressive fire behind us. Several Steel Rangers fired back with light machine guns and miniguns, but their shots glanced off the power armor he was wearing. I have no idea. Calamity Swift turned racing to catch up before one of them returned his fire with the missile or sniper round. He was doing far better in a suit than Steel Hooves had anticipated, but nowhere near as well as Calamity himself had expected. Still, it looked like we would make it. I pushed as far as my battle saddle weakened and overstrained body would take me, and I was the first to reach the door. It was locked and trapped, of course. But this was not a problem for me. Well, not one of my skill or tools. It was a problem of time. Calamity and Steel Hooves reached me as I attempted to disarm the explosive. Steel Hooves began to guide me through it, his skills far surpassing my own, while Calamity turned to face the approaching Rangers. "Give it up," called out Elder Blueberry's saber. As the Steel Rangers advanced, encircling us, I heard a click as the bomb disarmed. Now for the door. I heard more clicks as every enemy Steel Ranger in the apple orchard reloaded. Elder Blueberry's saber called out again. "Last chance. Give it up." I sighed. Damn it. This was the damn Ministry of Morale rooftop all over again. Why didn't you just kill us? Because now she needs to make an example of me, Steel Hooves guessed, and she knows that will go a lot smoother if she has hostages I care about. Or maybe I just need a good lockpicker. Blueberry Saber answered, "Some pony who can get me past a security door." Oh, hell no. A deep explosion rang out. One of the Steel Rangers fell. her midsection torn through. Several friendly lights suddenly danced across my EFS compass, but that was impossible, I thought. The Steel Rangers upstairs were still hours away from being freed. We wouldn't be getting reinforcements for... A magical energy pistol appeared, pointed at Elder Blueberry Saber's head. It was held by a familiar-looking griffin, the hood of her cloak falling back to reveal her head. Blackwing? Elder Blueberry Saber's eyes went wide as she realized the situation had dramatically changed. Where did you come from? Blackwing smirked as she pulled the trigger, the green beam from her pistol striking the pony between her eyes, turning her into a pony-shaped glow of luminescent mean. God sent me. Elder Blueberry Saber collapsed into a luminescent... Bro, that line, though, that one-liner, though. God sent me. Dude, that is peak. That is peak. That is so good. That is such a good one-liner. Out of nowhere, they come out of nowhere and kill the big bad. God sent me. Dude, Blackwing is so cool. The battle had changed. Arcs of magical energy from the small group of griffins were exchanged with the artillery fire of the Steel Rangers. Calamity and Steelhooves waded into the fight while I struggled to unlock the door with my telekinesis. The door unlocked with a satisfying click and slid open. Beyond, I could see the atrium, but even before I could see it, I could smell it. The cloying stench of burnt pony hair and the reek of spilled blood pooling and drying by the gallons smashed into me like a speeding wall. This room had become a slaughterhouse. Colorful, innocent ponies lay dead everywhere. In many cases, the same ponies could be seen in multiple places. One of the Steel Rangers had unleashed a grenade machine gun in the room. I stepped into the atrium over a pink leg blown off at the knee. I saw a yellowish clump of matter sliding down a wall mixed with blood. It took me a moment to realize it wasn't part of a pony brains. It was cake. I looked up and saw the colorful banner. The Steel Rangers had interrupted a cutie mark party. I felt rage. Pure, unadulterated rage. I met 3 Steel Rangers on the atrium balcony at the top of the stairs. 2 of them were wielding auto axes and were working their way through the 3rd and final security door. They had about half an hour's work left to go. I wrapped each of them in magic, floating them up and turning them towards each other before they could react and turn the auto axes off. The magically enhanced blades did exactly what they were designed to do, cut through metal. The flesh beneath offered no resistance at all. It was gruesomely messy. I dropped them, but kept the auto axes, turning to face the last of the Steel Rangers. Star Paladin Nova Rage, I presume. I noted her battle saddle had a grenade machine gun. The Star Paladin stared at me. Yes, and you are? Run. Oh, thank you. I'm glad to hear that. Ugh. But I am here to read the story, with all due respect. So apologies if I don't really comment too much on that matter. Thank you, though. The adrenaline had once again left my body, and I hurt. Physically and emotionally, it was literally all I could do to stand up. I had exercised my rage, but that left only despair and deep sadness. The hour was long over, that blackest hour whose name I couldn't remember, where the darkness of the world is echoed most heavily by the darkness in my soul. But I was still trapped there. Blackwing joined me as I waited for Velvet Remedy and Zenith. The Overmare had surely been watching everything through the stable's friendly pie observation system, but she had not yet opened the door. God knows you've flown to our aid without contract, content to negotiate compensation after the fact, the Griffin explained. When we heard the distress signal, she decided to give you the benefit of the doubt and asked if my talents would be willing to help. I'm thankful you said yes, I replied with a grim smile. My gaze kept drifting up to the gaily colored happy cute Sierra banner. I'm thankful you said yes, I replied with a grim smile. My gaze kept drifting up to the gaily colored happy cutie Sierra banner. Calamity trotted about, fixing his wings, thankful to be out of the Steel Ranger armor. I did not envy Steel Hooves, he looked up. How the hell did you appear right next to the Elder like that? Stealth Buck? Yeah, not a lot of people watch these. People are more interested in everything else, so. Zenith trotted up the steps to the atrium balcony. She stopped abruptly upon seeing Blackwing. Velvet Remedy collided with her backside and stumbled with a moan. She was crying again. Calamity flew to her, wrapping her in one of his wings as she moved onto the balcony. My girls had to make do with stealth bucks, yes, but Where did you get that cloak? Zenith interrupted. Blackwing gave the zebra a tolerant smirk. Yes, as I was saying, zebra stealth cloak. She fixed me with a serious look. You have more friends than I thought, kid. We'd barely made it past New Appaloosa when this Pegasus ghoul and her kid flagged us down. Turns out they'd heard the distress signal too and wanted to pitch in. Practically gave us enough stealth bucks to get in here while all you ponies were busy with the star spawn and to wage a war of our own, not to mention the cloak, which I would know I insisted on paying her for. Yeah, Derpy! Yeah, Derpy coming in clutch! Yeah, Derpy! Yeah, the Derpinator! Gosh, dude, play of the game going to Derpy right here. Gosh, thank you, Derpy Ghoul. Derpaghoul. Love a snail. Oh yeah, you invested in the story? Because I sure am. I looked over the railing at the other Griffin and Blackwing's talons. The deep explosions I had heard before were now obviously from Butcher's little Gilda, which is a anti-air gun, to be more specific. I think she wanted to come in herself, but well, she has a kid, a frown passed across Blackwing's beak, whom I'm really hoping she adopted, because if not, ew. Sorry, we didn't get to you sooner, Butcher called up to us. Managed to get ourselves trapped in the generator room for the longest time, but then you ponies came along and not only take out the guard sealing us in, but most of the door too. I'm glad to hear that. I was standing in an abattoir that had once been my home, and yet I found myself laughing. It was not a good laugh. It was a hurting, horrified, emotional, wrung-out laugh. The laugh of a pony that can't scream or cry. I forced myself to stop as the security door slid open. The overmare stood there gazing at us. Behind her was a throng of terrified ponies. Is it safe? One of them asked. I found that I couldn't find my voice. I was petrified. Yup, Calamity answered for us. Rooted out the last of them. The ones in the school are good ponies who just got wrapped up in something really horribly bad. They'll be leaving soon with us. The auto axes were making cutting through the welded door a much quicker task. Thank you, the overmare said to all of us. Then she shooed the other ponies back inside. They did not need to see any more of what had become of the atrium. Little Pip, Velvet Remedy, would you please come in? The overmare motioned for us to enter the formerly sealed wing. Calamity slid his wing from Velvet and poked her towards the overmare. With his nose, she moved slowly, but with ladylike grace I followed, feeling clumsy and small and horrible. Now, last I recall, the overmare said, "Don't ever come back," or something like that. So, this'll be interesting. Oh my gosh, I'm so invested. And then there was blood everywhere. Sparkling Cider did a wave of his hoof like this and fell down. As the overmare slowly guided us through the crowd towards her office, a familiar voice froze me in place. Mother? I looked up and there she was, standing in a small clique of friends, notably absent Mrs. Sparkle Cider. Oh, yikes, I forgot about Miss Sparkle Cider. Oopsies. She was not one of the ones that made it. She turned and looked at me with vaguely scandalized expression. Is that Little Pip? She asked one of her friends. The other mare answered in the affirmative. I don't even recognize her, Mother said, not with our maliciousness, but as a casual statement of truth. I felt all the life drain from me as she looked me over. My blood had turned to ice water. My stomach knotted up, then sank to the lowest part of my body it could find. The world seemed to stretch away from me. She turned away from me, delving back into her conversation, my presence barely augmenting her tale. I was traumatized. I mean, I'm going to have nightmares of this forever. I'm going to need therapy. And as horrible as this sounds, my first thought was that we'll never come out of this apron. Because he was wearing that lovely yellow one with the... I spotted the glow from her horn so very soft, and the bottle floating nearby, surrounded in the same light. She was drunk. Of course she was drunk. That's how she had always protected herself from whatever crisis she thought she was going through. And this had been a real one. Oh man. Alright, see ya. I will. I am enjoying this reading. This is an absolute blast. Still, she was alive. Alive and exactly the same. I was right here. Again. Mom? Suddenly, Velvet Remedy was between us, and her hoof was striking my mother across the face so hard it knocked her down. I stared. Velvet Remedy had just hit my mother. God dang! Velvet's voice sounded like she was throwing all the hurt and rage in her behind it. It wasn't a scream, but it was somehow much louder than that. You have suffered nothing. She turned from my wide-eyed mother and lowered her head, pushing me away. There are no thanks, which are enough for your bravery and heroism, the Overmare told us, thanking us yet again for coming into Stable 2's rescue. Immediately, I imagine Velvet Remedy just punches Little Pip's, like, mother straight up across the face. The Overmare looks over back at the group, at Little Pip and everyone. There is no small way we can say thank you. Therefore, you are allowed to punch whoever you would like. Just something like that. Oh my god, that is hilarious. And Little Pip, I owe you such an apology. You are always welcome here. This is your home. I looked up at the Overmare, then down at my body. I was caked in blood, maybe half of it mine. No. No? The Overmare asked. I have no place here. Not anymore. I looked up at Velvet Remedy, who was laying on a couch in the Overmare's office across from me. I've been outside for 5 weeks, and look at me. As much as I try, I'm not the same pony I was when I left, and I never can be. The wasteland has changed me, bloodied me, maybe even poisoned me, like it has everything else outside. I can't come back. I can't bring that poison in here. I think it's already gotten in, the Overmare said sadly. I nodded. I know, but these ponies are good ponies, innocent ponies. They need to treasure that, and hold it as long as they can. You need to wash away the blood, clean away the bodies, try to make Stable 2 right again. Tonight will be enough of a nightmare already. The Overmare nodded. Then, is there anything I can do for you in return for all you've done for us? I thought about it, then looked into her eyes. Yes. First, we need to arrange for some sort of payment for the Griffins. Payment? The Overman blinked. Ah, I see. They're mercenaries. Mercenaries who came to Stable 2's aid without contract or promise of payment, Velvet Remedy swiftly added, because they trust us to do right by them in return. Then I will not sully your reputation, Velvet darling. The Overmare turned to me. And there was something else? Yes, I want access to the Overmare records. That she did balk at. I want to look at the population records, nothing more. Somehow, she liked that even less. I do as well, Velvet Remedy said, getting up and moving up to my side. I was still conflicted, wanted to simultaneously hug her and buck her for striking my mother. Okay, now it'd be funny if Velvet Remedy hits Little Pip's mother, Little Pip hits Velvet Remedy. They just get a little slap fight going. That'd be hilarious. You know, the Overmare said slowly, addressing Velvet, when I gave you Sweetie Belle's possessions to look through, it was with hopes that her rich history as a musician would persuade you to accept your career. I hadn't expected you to use the opportunity to find a way to escape, she frowned. CMC3 BFF. Clearly, I needed to give the recordings of a previous Overmare a much closer inspection before allowing them into any pony else's hooves. Velvet Remedy shook her head. You had to have known. I may have suspected, but I thought you would make the better choice. I did make the better choice, Velvet Remedy said firmly. I found what I was looking for in the population records within the first few minutes. She made it. Applejack made it into stable 2. She was here when the stable door sealed. According to the records, she lived peacefully for another 25 years. Happy. Or at least as happy as somebody could be, living in a stable and knowing the world above had been obliterated. Still, she had survived. According to the records, she spent 10 years down here bucking the stable's apple orchard until a hip injury forced her to retire. The doctor's addendum suggested that weakening hips might have been a genetic ailment common to her family. Even after that, she spent another 10 cooking for the stable's inhabitants from the kitchen of what was now the Stable 2 saloon. She passed away peacefully, and unlike other stable residents who were incinerated, the overmare insisted that she be buried in the apple orchard she was... I paused in my reading. Oh my god. AJ, from the trees shall rise, and the trees she shall return. Gosh dang. Applejack survived. Boop. I walked into Pallet's stall. The always messy paint splotch artist of Stable 2 had survived the slaughter, and already was diving into a new project. The Steel Ranger stood very still in front of me, obediently at attention, as she painted over the symbol of magical sparks and gears with 3 candy red apples. Steelhooves plodded up to me. I'm no longer fit to wear Steel Ranger armor, but I can't take it off, he said as I took in his new look. Like the Ranger being painted, he too had the Steel Ranger symbol painted over with the likeness of Applejack's cutie mark. The red paint continued from there, accenting the ridges and edges all over the rest of his armor, so I thought this would be appropriate. I was a little surprised he didn't go with orange, but I could see sticking with the cutie mark's color. They're all doing it? I asked, looking at the Steel Ranger being painted, and then at the line down the hall. Every pony who has decided to return to the true meaning of the oath, that is. The oath as Applejack would have wanted it, he whinnied. We won't be able to call ourselves Steel Rangers anymore. I won't be able to. He grumped. That's going to take some getting used to. What will you call yourselves then? I suggested. Applejack's Rangers? I am hardly worthy of that, but maybe. We will see. For now, we're simply outcasts. He looked away, his metal sheathed tail swinging. I have to go for just a little bit. I'm taking the others up to stable 29. I've been in contact with Star Palette and Crossroads, and she immediately joined the cause. She's already planning to make stable 29 into some place we can operate out of. All it needs is a functioning water talisman. But there's another problem. Elder Cottage Cheese? Yo, what? Yeah, this is the moment. This is the moment. Yeah, unfortunately, though, I lost like 65 to 70% of the reading during this. Apparently, I was not streaming or recording at some point. I guess my Wi-Fi just cut out. So most of the chapter of reading of this was completely lost until I realized it was too late, unfortunately. So that was a bummer, but yeah. This is a good chapter. I'm absolutely geeking over this. I'm absolutely gawking. As Calamity would say, yup, Steelhooves nickered. Looks like you were right about him. Cross says he sent a squad of Steel Rangers to the Canterlot Ruins to retrieve that black book for him. But they haven't returned yet. If we can get to stable 29 before they do, you have a ride. It did die. It died and I lost so much footage. So much reading. My Discord is, I tab out of Discord when I start this crud, with all due respect. So unfortunately, no message was received. Do you think Calamity, you have a ride. Do you really think Calamity can haul 10 more Steel Rangers outcasts all the way to Fetlock? It is a passenger wagon, I commented. Besides, have you met us? Steelhooves laughed. All right, But after you drop us off, you head on to Tenpony Tower. No more delays. I'll catch up to you later. I promise. I nodded solemnly. I was going to hold him to that. I started to walk away and then remembered what had caused me to seek him out. Steelhooves, we need to talk somewhere private. It do be like that, you know, sometimes you just lose an hour and a half worth of reading. Sometimes it's just like that, you know? Life finds a way. If life felt like screwing me over today, I guess it is what it is. I'll just have to live with that. At least, could have been a lot worse. Applejack didn't leave you. Steelhooves shook his head. Yes, she did. She chose to be with her family, and I don't blame her for that. I never have. He paced a little. We weren't exactly... Our relationship was in a bad place. We were trying to put it back together, but it really wasn't going to work, and we both knew it. I loved her, and I let her go. I whimpered inside, but stood firm. No, Apple Snack, I said, using his real name. She loved you. She tried to come back to you, but the overmare wouldn't let her. He stopped pacing and looked at me. Wouldn't let her? She helped her family into the stable, and the overmare closed the door. Applejack didn't know that the stable 2 overmare was under strict orders not to open the door for anyone, under any circumstance. Not until the atmospheric and soil monitors read that the world above was clean and safe again. It's been 200 years. I know, Stable Tech grossly miscalculated how long it would take, but that didn't matter because there was no way Sweetie Belle was going to let Applejack out. Applejack wanted to leave. She wanted to find you. The record for Applejack is full of annotations about her arguments with Sweetie Belle over this. But of course, with her condition and with the readings outside, there was no way Sweetie Belle was going to let her back out. Steelhooves stomped. Wait, her condition? Was she hurt? If those zebras... I could feel my heart sink. Oh, goddesses, he didn't know. Steelhooves, I said, my voice sounding tender and small in my own ears. Applejack was pregnant. Applejack was pregnant. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. I swear, Overmare Huff, this is why I didn't want you becoming a medical pony. Velvet Remedy glared at her crossly. You can't help her yourself. You dig and pry. You and Little Pip are a match, you know? Depends. I have no clue what you missed. Y'all have missed enough. Y'all have missed enough. This chapter has been a mess enough. It's all been a mess. This chapter is great, don't get me wrong. It's the events in between. No, that, what do you mean? Steelhooves is a ghoul over 200 years old and has been alive ever since. Valor took a deep breath. You have a serious problem here. Have you ever looked at the population reports? Do you have any idea how many of the original inhabitants of this stable were extended members of the Apple family? By Celestia, even Little Pip and I have common Apple ancestors 6 generations back. I'd stepped just outside the Overmare's office, watching the 2 mayors argue. Neither had noticed me. That's not a big deal. 6 generations is a lot. This entire stable is in danger of becoming completely inbred, Velvet Remedy shot back. I'd say that's a big deal. Little Pip was wrong. You can't stay locked up in here for much longer. Hello, I finally said. The 2 mayors turned to look at me with a matching shocked expression. Wow, okay, this is quite a lore bomb. Although technically, if you think about it, kind of accurate for all of the Fallout lore in general, I guess. The surviving vaults, I mean. It's bound to happen eventually. Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. One last detour was a small one. Fast, 15 minutes tops. We'd be back to pick up the Steel Ranger outcasts and ferry them to Fetlock before they knew it. And then it was on to Tenpony Tower. Is this where the outcasts get created from? Oh my god, that is freaking awesome. This is the lore and the creation of the outcasts. Oh my god, it's great. I love it. I love it, Queen. Slay girl. Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. I needed homage. I needed to just fall to pieces in her embrace. I found one. Velvet Remedy read the words scrawled in full-like letters on the side of the metal monster rusting in front of us. It was a cannon, and it had probably been rusting here for years, even before the war. The goddesses only knew what it had been doing this secluded portion of Sweet Apple Acres. The trees here grew close. The cannon would only have been visible to a Pegasus flying almost directly overhead, and it certainly didn't seem pointed anyplace strategic. Small patches of the old metal muzzle were still polished enough to reflect the orange light of the rising sun. The base was partially sunken into the ground amongst several large rocks. Making the weapon cant strangely nearby was a crumbling picnic table. There were a few planks of wood nailed to a dead tree behind me. How would this have helped? Zenith asked Calamity. I had to admit, I was asking the same question. This old metal monster couldn't possibly... What the heck did I just miss in a minute? Wait, what? Hold on. What the heck did... Wait, what? 15 minutes tops. One last detour was a small one. Fast. 15 minutes tops. We'd be back to pick up the Still Ranger. Outcast for the Tenpony and the full like letters on the side of a metal monster rusting. What is what? What? Only knew what it was doing. The secluded portion of Apple. The trees here had grown close. I have no clue what the heck just happened. So they what? Found a mega cannon or something in the ground? A rock, I asked? The Rock of Destiny. A Pegasus friend says, grinning cryptically. Dude, is that Boulder? I was tired physically and mentally exhausted. I couldn't keep up. Destiny is a rock? Even Velvet Remedy was looking confused. Calamity sighed, hollowed out rock, he explained. This rock has been used for every Dashite since the first Pegasus was hunted down by the Enclave and branded for leaving. It's enchanted to open only for some pony who done know the proper passphrase. He looked down at an apparently special rock. Every Dashite has put something in here. Some token of the life they left behind. How did a Pegasus enchant a rock? Velvet Remedy asked. Calamity shrugged. Well, I assume she had some pony else do it for her. Or perhaps a zebra helped her, Zenith offered. Calamity took a deep breath, tapped at the rock again with his hoof, and said loudly and clearly, cutie marks don't matter. Footnote, level up. Skills note, firearms has reached 100%. New perk, Zebra Augmented Pony. You have allowed your body to be permanently enhanced through Zebra Alchemy. You gain plus 10 to your poison, fire, and radiation resistance, and plus 3 to your damage threshold. Note, Zebra Augmented Pony and Cybernetic Implants perk. Cyber Pony are mutually exclusive. The Rock of Destiny. Dude, what the heck? So I'm just gonna kind of slowly scroll back up again. I know I read most of this lower half, but there's still the portion of it I have missed. Oh, I can just do this. But dang, that was an intense chapter. We're gonna read another one here. But wow. That was such a fun chapter, dude. So let's see. Let's think about our situations at hand. There is a nuke at Tenpony Tower, suspectedly. The Everfree Forest is burning. And then there's a plot against the, what the heck did they call them? The false alicorn looking things? Yo, what's up? What's up? The, happened where? I gave a summary at the start of this little little session here, but I can like do a little quick recap, I guess, for what was missed. Essentially what happened is at this, mainly this top part of the story, they were on their way back to... They were heading towards the Stable 2, right? Via the giant Sky Bandit. They, everyone was a little upset, everyone was a little angry. Velvet Remedy released her inner bitch for a little bit. And, they, were obviously heading to the place again. They spent, it was several days out. And they were heading there. See, a lot of what I'm gonna say is gonna sound like madman rambling, so bear with me. Because it's all gonna kind of blur together pretty much. And then they met a giant... the zebras called it, I don't know, something... It was some sort of moon deity, they called it, or something. It was only a, quote, baby, or whatever, right? But I believe it was a mutated Ursa Minor that was killing everything. It appeared like stars and such. And it killed a lot of the, What the heck were their names again? Oh my god, I'm blanking. The Steel, whoever, the Brotherhood of Steel looking people, alright? That's who they are! That's who they are! Okay, Steel Rangers. The Steel Rangers. All the Steel Rangers, most of them outside got killed, -2, named Strawberry Lemonade. Strawberry Lemonade managed to survive while being yelled at by their superior to keep their EFS locked on the group. Meanwhile, Calamity comes out of nowhere and kills the kills the one that was not cooperating, leaving Strawberry Lemonade as the only survivor, which, I'ma be honest, what's with all these Steel Rangers being named after fruits and berries? You know? I don't get it. But, then they go into the vaults, and then they see the slaughter of a welcoming party. Pretty much the intro to Fallout 2, essentially. And how they all just got gunned down and killed and everything, right there in the main room. But luckily that gave enough time for the Overmare to, send out, enough people to get to the security wing and the Overmare's wing. And then our cast goes in, guns a-blazing, they did stealth for a little bit, spoke over the intercom, then it became a PvP match free-for-all for a little bit. And then Lil Pip got hit by a grenade, Velvet Remedy got shot, Zenith became a spider for a little while. Yeah, it was interesting. But yeah, that's a little rough summary of what happened. But yeah, it was wild. It was wild. This was an excellent chapter, I gotta admit. I was in love with this chapter. This chapter was so much fun. I absolutely enjoy this one. This was such a treat of a chapter. That was only 15,000 words. That felt like it went on forever. Dude, it was a good chapter. So I wonder what they are going to do now. So let's think about our big bads real quickly, right? There's that Unity Alicorn Queen thingamajig. And then there's the nuke in Tenpony Tower. And then the Everfree Forest is burning on fire due to Red Eye. Red Eye is freaking got some crud going on. I'm amazed he is still, like, kicking and crud. Oh, man, well, that just makes it even the more better. Alright, let's see. Chapter 29, Racing Hypothesis. Once upon a time, in the magical land of Equestria, there were two regal sisters who ruled together and created harmony for all the land. To do this, the eldest used her unicorn powers to raise the sun at dawn. The younger spread out the moon to begin the night. Fuck. You know what irony is? I recognize the voice of Scootaloo, even though it was raspy, even though all her coughing and the mad clicking and the roar of the wind all around her. Oh man, all good. Irony is that it feels I spent my whole damn childhood trying to get my cutie mark, and I don't have it anymore. Oh man. If I'm correct, the Steel Rangers just got completely reformed into the Outcasts, right? They just completely became a new faction just then in the last chapter. I recognize the voice of Scootaloo. I already read that. Irony is that I spent most of the last decade working to save Equestria from a mega spell. End of the world. Scootaloo's voice cracked, followed by a barrage of wet, raspy coughs. And then it happened. And I wasn't even fucking here. Broke my damn wing in a stupid damn accident while practicing a new routine for the damn gallops. By the time I got out of the Hinavarian Pegasus Clinic, it was all over. Oh, see, I forgot. I thought they pretty much executed all the... Well, yeah, obviously... The Steel Rangers are still their own faction in Crud. They have their elders and everything, but this is where the Outcast faction pretty much got created. Irony is that I'm the one who made Sweetie Belle, the overmare of Sable 2. I was beginning to worry about her. Now she's probably the only one of us who has survived. The recording was interrupted by another fit of coughing. Apple Bloom was supposed to be in Philadelphia. Can't even get near that place. A pony would die from radiation in minutes. I actually considered banging a hoof in Stable 2's doors, but then I saw all the bodies. Sweetie Belle did right. Didn't open the door for any pony. Can't let this poison in. Contaminate that whole stable. If I knocked, Sweetie Belle just might open the door for me, and I can't let that happen. Dude, all the cutie mark crusaders are dead. All the kiddos are deceased, minus Sweetie Belle. Fuck. I thought it was the other way around. Even then. I could be wrong. Like I said, I never played Fallout 3. I know some of the lore, but well, I know some of the lore. I've seen some of the gameplay. I don't know the whole gist of it. Usually just like those video game challenge runs. That's pretty much all I've seen. I'm giving up my Pip-Buck, leaving it here with this message. I figure if Apple Flume survived, she'll come looking here. If not, some pony else will. Besides, I'm sick of it clicking. I don't need it yelling at me that the snow is radioactive and that I'm breathing poison. The air is fucking green. More coughing. Except for those weird pink swirls coming off of Canterlot. When you can see the air, you know it's bad. This time, the coughing fit lasted minutes. Fuck, that's blood. That's so not good. I'm glad they still have Scootaloo's little personality going on here. Like little mannerisms I suspect they'd have. They kept telling us the cloud curtain was for our own protection, keeping the radiation and megaspell pollution from getting into the Pegasi city. Who knew that they were telling the truth? Fuckers said that the brand is to mark me as some pony who's been below, contaminated. Now I know there's horse apples. Told them I was proud of what Rainbow Dash did. Called myself a Dashite. Boy, that got their feathers in a bunch. Irony is, I worked really hard to find a better way. Some kind of society or government or something that would be better. Wouldn't make the same damn mistake that killed every pony, and I get trapped up there with a whole slew of ponies who seem dedicated to finding the worst way ever. Even I would have tried an experiment, like the Enclave. The stables aren't set up to fail. Hell, I'd give the Enclave a few months at most. Blitzen wants to help the... Oh, that's different from Fallout 4. I'm familiar. I've played a lot of Fallout 4. I'm more familiar with the Fallout 4's Brotherhood of Steel versus the other games. Interesting. Scootaloo's voice stopped, but no cough this time. Just harsh breathing. After a moment, she continued, "If you find this before I'm gone." She was cut off by an explosive cough, followed by several moments of silence, then a groan. "If you find this, there's a shack marked on it. I traced Rainbow Dash to there. I think she's living there, or was recently. Wasn't there when I looked, but I'm headed back. Going to wait there. Hope she returns." "I should be there for her, like she's with me. Some pony should be there." Scootaloo coughed one final time. "Just want to Dash to know we didn't all. She's not alone." Yeah, I know that's the... I know the Eastern Brotherhood is Fallout 4. Yeah. There's a meme of that out there. There's a video that plays back in my head, but it depicted the brother, like, you know, the cutscene when they all show up. There was a cutscene that depicted them literally as, like, the Germans coming back to Russia. "Hello, Russia, we are back. Love what you did with the place. We have waited 70-something long years." It was so hilarious. I love that meme. It's hilarious. Little silly, little goofy. No clue. No clue what Amazon you would be talking about. I recently placed the battered old pitbuck back into the Rock of Destiny. Also welcome. When it had rested for nearly 2 centuries, the pitbuck of the first Dashite lay once again with the discarded treasures of Dashites to follow, all except for Calamity, whose relinquished possession of his old life we had come to reclaim. Blimp dropping. I have not seen that one. Oh my gosh. You gotta send that to me. Otherwise, I'll find it later. That sounds absolutely hilarious. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That sounds awesome. Oh, that's a good headcanon right there. At Calamity's hooves lay the black carapace of at Calamity's hooves lay the black carapace of Enclave armor. The tips of the built-in magical energy rifles flickered with a wicked light. Dude, he's a remnant? "She don't belong to me, I reckon," Calamity said. "They belong to Captain Deadshot, Calamity of the Grand Pegasus Enclave." Oh my god, dude, that... Oh, I got goosebumps for that title. "And he ain't round no more, but after seeing Velvet put on that zebra suit, I figured it's a mite stubborn or foolish of me to not at least drag her out and carry her around with us, in case things get bad enough to call for putting her back on." Calamity looked up at us, face reddened under the rust-colored coat. You know, since we've have to repack everything anyway. Dude, he's a remnant! Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Dude, that is awesome. Yeah, I know. My room is boiling, dude. Reading this thing is like a furnace. Woo! It's like a sauna in here. Just hold the actual luxury. Calamity looked up at us, face reddened, under his rust-colored coat. You know, since we have to repack everything anyway. I nodded, remembering the overturned Sky Bandit and the swath of scattered possessions. "So my buck was a captain?" Velvet Remedy purred, wrapping the Enclave armor with her magic and floating it off the ground. "My buck?" I felt the stirrings of a chuckle. I'd been sure that Calamity would end up being Velvet Remedy's... Oh, by the way, last chapter, Calamity kissed Velvet Remedy, gave her a good old, you know, when she was bleeding out. Would be the strange child. I'd be sure that Calamity would end up being Velvet Remedy's Calamity, not the other way around. But the mayor certainly wasted no time. I'd smiled at the both of them. This was good. The whole world was filled with so much bad. Dude, Calamity is a freaking enclave remnant. Obviously, they kind of portrayed that for a while. I just didn't know he had his own set of armor. That is awesome. Now he's really a remnant. My friends needed some good, and I was glad they could find it in each other. I thought of Homage and was thankful to her. Without Homage, I'm not sure my heart could have been so generous. What's up? Calamity stammered, blushing harder. Do you want to talk about it? Velvet asked gently, rubbing her head soothingly, yet coaxingly against Calamity's neck as she floated the creepy black carapace to their side. I'm trying to think. What's up? Well, she's got quad Nova Surge rifles. My own design. That's not what I meant. Calamity stared away. I know, he turned back to her. Really, there ain't much to tell. They made me captain, and with the promotion came new duties. I was reassigned to lead a wing of scouts down the cloud curtain. He saw me surprised and explained, the Enclave ain't stupid. They've been sending scouts down here just about twice a year to get the lay of things for ages. Then they put out reports telling the civilian ponies that the world down here ain't ready for us yet, or the air ain't breathable. Keeps every pony happy to just fritter away the lives above. Only that ain't how it actually is down here. Ain't been for a long time. And when I saw that, well, I kinda made waves. Then on my third patrol, I saw a bunch of raiders hitting a caravan. I knew what was coming. Your policy. Yup. Ordered my wing to take the raiders out. They refused. So afterwards, I had them locked up for insubordination. Higher-ups took unkindly to that, told me they was giving me one chance to correct the path I was on, or they'd be hell to pay. Calamity snorted and dug out the ground with a hoof. They put me in front of an assembly to address every pony and tell them how there ain't nothing down here to save yet. Show them all just how much I was hitched to party wagon. Velvet Remedy backed up and looked Calamity over. Well, that was foolish of them. Yup, Calamity's muzzles broke a grin. I reckon it had been so long since some pony had bucked the Enclave that they forgot it could happen. I stood right up there and told every pony that we needed to get down here now. He paused. Well then, you know what I mean. Anyways, I told them I was leaving and that they were free to follow. Calamity lifted a hoof to scratch his mane under his hat. Don't hear about how I supposedly killed my own wing till about 6 months ago. I remembered what Calamity had said back in Philadelphia. Most dictatorships I know of tend to go hell and high water to either discredit or destroy opposing voices like that. I tried it over and wrapped a foreleg around Calamity in a hug, which I know was a little tricky since he was a fair bit taller than me. Thanks, little Pip. Something occurred to me. So, I asked Calamity as I dropped back to all four hooves, most of the Pegasi don't realize what's going on down here. They ain't bad ponies, little Pip, Calamity whinnied. They're just being bamboozled by their leaders. Even in the best governments, the ponies at the top don't tell a rank and file what's actually going on. He trotted in place. You think the better folk of New Appaloosa have any idea just how connected they are to Red Eye? Oh yeah, that nuke from earlier. I remember the way the ponies in Turnpike Tavern laughed in notion of that, Buck and the Sprite Bots, being any pony's leader on the other side of the bottle cap. I was willing to bet Sweetabelle didn't tell any pony in Stable 2 about the friends and relatives dodged outside the stable door, breaking their hooves against it as they begged to be let in. Yeah, dude, they got freaking pranked. Prank! Tonight's biggest loser on Impractical Jokers. Hell, I was supposed to... Dude, that is quite the government prank. Nah, B, nothing happened. Hell, I was supposedly the leader of these ponies, and I was keeping secrets of my own. The truth about the Ministry of Peace and the Megaspells came swiftly to mind. So, I suppose that Calamity assertion was true. Little Pip, and most of the ponies up there saw for themselves what's going on down here. They'd buck the damn Enclave and pony up to help. Calamity's confidence faltered, well, most being at least more than half, I reckon. I felt an odd tug at one of my saddlebags. I turned to see Velvet Remedy's pick buff floated out, enveloped by Velvet Remedy's magic. I watched the polished pit buck with its custom engraving of Velvet Remedy's singing nightingale glide across the air and gently set itself down on the rock of destiny next to Scootaloo's. I hope it's not presumptuous, she said to Calamity, sounding slightly apprehensive. I'm not a Dashite, but I am leaving an old life behind, and it feels wrong to be taking something out without putting something in its place. Thank you kindly, Calamity responded, approving. Honestly, I would love to see just what this... Like, to me, this looks like almost like a giant underground cave. Fairly carved out. But it's like the... It's just a wall of relics, pretty much. Or like a pirate's, like, treasure chest found in a cave somewhere, you know? But instead just scattered all about. There's all these different little trinkets and things of loot. Set it down on the Rock of Destiny next to Scootaloo's. Calamity brought up, I brought up the inventory sorter of my pitbuck, scrolling through until I realized with the pang that I didn't have anything from my life in the stable to give up. I stared forlornly at the Rock of Destiny, feeling like I was failing somehow. I'd already left everything in Stable 2 behind. I probably would have sealed a picture of my mother up inside the rock, but I didn't even have that. No, but I did have something. She cuts her arm off, biting my lower lip. I pulled up the recipe for party time mint dolls. I would give this up, but I didn't want any pony else to suffer from them as I had. Okay, hold on, Little Pip. She's giving up her addiction in exchange, giving somebody else the recipe to their own addiction. Ah, Little Pip. Really looking out for the next generation. The first night outside, I discovered a message from Apple Bloom to Sweetabelle, which used a very special encryption. I use that now as I sent the recipe to Velvet Remedy's Pitbuck. No pony would be able to read the recipe without downloading it from both her Pitbuck and mine. Oh, I see. I erased the recipe from my Pitbuck. Somehow, it was both liberating and frightening. Stable 2. I was leaving it again. This time, it hurt worse. Probably because I knew that I would never return. Even though I could. I felt weary beyond simple exhaustion. The mental toll of the night before was compounding the physical expense of the battle. And of nearly dying once again, I stared at Calamity, who somehow managed to seem almost normal despite not only having gone through much the same, but having been up for a full day, much of which was spent dragging the Sky Bandit. Almost normal. He had been ruthless. I was told in hunting down the last of the Steel Rangers, I did not begrudge him that. But this had been more than his code, more than his policy. We were his closest friends, and he'd take the assault on our former home personally. Then again, with the exception of Zenith and Firelight, we all did, for our own reasons. Calamity? I asked as I floated the Sky Bandit up off the ground. When we first met, and you told me you didn't live in New Appaloosa, you said you had a little shack. I had a suspicion. Calamity landed on it and trotted in place. Now weightless, the passenger wagon rolled easily under his hooves until he had it upright. Yup, he replied, and to answer the next question, yup to that too. Got the marker off the first Dashite's Pitbuck by linking it to my with my armor just before giving it up. There's so much slang it hurts to read. Did Rainbow Dash ever return to the shack? I mean, do you know? I don't reckon she did, Calamity stated, his words sending a wave of bitter sadness through my heart. When I got there, I found a Pegasus skeleton curled up in a corner, which I buried out back. Figure it, Rainbow Dash had come back. There would have been two. Another pang. Oh, shoot, Scootaloo. Oh my god. Another pang shot through my heart. Calamity had done better for Scootaloo than I had for any pony who had passed on. I felt steely resolve build within my own. Yup. Yeah, it does. Yup sounds really like yup. Honestly, yup sounds is like the best thing for Big Mac I can do. Sometimes his voice gets a little tricky, but the yup, those are so easy to do. There is no effort that goes on behind those. I figure remnant. Before we go, we should bury the skeletons in the apple cellar tunnel, I said firmly. I know we're on the clock, but damn it if I'm gonna leave here again without doing that. Calamity nodded like I knew he would. Velvet Remedy trotted closer, levitating another pile of scavenged goods. This would be so much easier if I had found our stuff spell. You know, if we're taking all these detours, maybe not swing by my old place, Calamity suggested. I could gather up a few tools, and Little Pip could have crack at the floor safe no pony's been able to crack. There was a twinkle in his eye when he said that. I heard Velvet stifle a snicker. Ooh, I faced off. Oh, now that's just not playing fair. The cleanup and the Rock of Destiny had already eaten the first hour of daylight, and the burials would take up more. We'd be lucky to make Fetlock by sundown. But then, floor safe. A floor safe in the shack that both Rainbow Dash and Scootaloo had once called home. If extremely briefly, no less. The curious little pony in my head was prancing around eagerly, suggesting all sorts of possibly important or interesting things that might be inside. Oh man. We've actually seen that one a lot. I shot Calamity a look. You think you can use my weaknesses against me that easily? Yup. I have stomped. Okay, yes you can, but just this once. Yup, sure. Ultimately, the burials added less than an hour to our departure time. Steelhoof's outcasts once all painted and ready to leave until halfway through the effort. I'm glad you're finally with us, a paladin buck named Bitterbright told Steelhooves as they finally began to march into the Sky Bandit. It should have been sooner, Steelhooves stated grimly. I should have done this when there was a chance for peaceful break. This will be a civil war. And a bloody one. Oh my gosh, dude, the actual resistance. Oh my, ew, I love it. I love thinking about how literally the outcasts have just been reformed and they're ready to go to war with their original Brotherhood of Steel. That is so awesome. Or the Steel Rangers, I guess. Oh, the idea of that got me geeking. See, like, with this sentence here, as they begin to march into the Sky Bandit, I only imagine that's like the how in Star Wars Episode 3 Attack of the Clones, all the troopers getting inside the Venators and ships and crud. Magnificent, aren't they? Oh my god. It's so beautiful. Paladin Bitterbright nodded. Oh man, Paladin Bitterbright nodded. Star Paladin Crossroads has already locked Elder Cottage Cheese's communications down and sent out warnings in those of the other contingents who would follow us. With any luck, they'll be able to slip away before the word of what happened here reaches the other elders. I swallowed. What happens then? Paladin Bitterbright neighed. If we had done this years ago, with the Elder taking the lead, then those who believe the Steel Rangers should be followed, the Ministry Mayor and helping the ponies of Equestria could simply have transferred to the new Elder's contingent. We would have been looked upon poorly by the voice of an Elder is law now. The Steel Ranger outcast took a moment of silence before continuing. Now we are succeeding. We are traitors and mutineers. Once the elders learn of this, any within their ranks who empathize with us will be exterminated. O Celestia, grant mercy. Hopefully, Steelhooves added, those who would join us can make it out before then. They will be galloping towards Stable 29. We will need to have it secured by then, or they will be galloping into a trap. Well, except for Trottingham. Nice strawberry lemonade! Yeah, strawberry! Strawberry lemon! Piped up, joining the conversation. This is the strawberry lemonade is the one trooper from the last chapter that refused to gun down the group when the other Steel Ranger next to them did. And then Calamity shot the person next to Strawberry's head clean off. Or something along the lines. And so Strawberry Lemonade got to survive. They were the last survivor of the group outside also, I'm pretty sure. Everyone else outside died, minus Strawberry Lemonade. It was very freaking violent. As she moved to stand uncomfortably close to Steel Hooves, my friend looked around as if searching for some trivial task to give her. In Trottingham, there are more of us than there are of them. In Trottingham, I bet the Elder will be the one abandoning ship. Strawberry lemonade! Strawberry lemon! Dude, all these, like, ponies are named after fruits. Anyone in the Steel Rangers is most likely named after some sort of fruit. Oh, Celestia grant mercy. Hopefully, Steelhooves added, those who would join us can make it out before then. They will be galloping toward... I'll be the one. The pony in my head whimpered, watching my actions ripple out of the war and bloodshed. I'm so sorry. For what? Paladin Bitterbright asked. None of this is your fault or your doing, except for that because of you and your friends, this squad isn't dead at Nova Rage's hoof, or still trapped in that stable school waiting to die of thirst and starvation. He nickered. This battle started the moment Nova Rage killed one of us and locked the others away, and that happened hours before any of you showed up. This is on her, and on us. Hell, we should be apologizing to you for not saying enough. Until after the others started slaughtering the poor pony folk in the Ministry's mayor's stable. It's on me, Steelhoof said with finality. This has always been on me. As he plodded past me, he lowered his helmet and whispered into my ear, it's better that my child never knew me. Oh, deep! Dang! Blackwing and her talons flew with us part of the way, delivering news of their victory back to God, along with the details of the 5-year plan that the Overmayor and Blackwing had sketched out upon my suggestion. Y'all sure we shouldn't stand there with ya at stable 29? No, Steelhooves told Calamity. This is an internal matter now. I listened to DJ Ponthy's broadcast in my earbloom, but there had been no news yet of Stable 2, nothing that could forewarn the elders that their ranks were breaking. I prayed that the silence would last until I reached Homage. It was another stroke of luck that Calamity's shack was only a little bit out of the way towards Fetlock and Manhattan. It was, however, completely in the opposite direction of Splendid Valley. I began to worry what Red Eye might do if we delayed too long. I was hoping that his twisted generosity would extend to giving me time to rest after everything I had gone through. What will we do once we reach Tenpony Tower? Zenith questioned. Will Red Eye even let you get there? Night Strawberry Lemonade asks. Moving to bench near me, Steelhooves had managed to successfully maneuver behind several other Steel Rangers, preventing her from reaching him. I found the little dance amusing, partially because her voice was so cute. Even more so coming from inside that fearsome armor, partially because it was finally somebody else's turn to feel a little uncomfortable. Red Eye has the place surrounded, I said, frowning. Shooting our way in would be a bad move. But we could try sneaking our way in. I recalled what Home had said in her fake letter to me. Then later, we can meet where we met before, and I promise. Well, no need to dwell on what she promised. The important part was I know of roof access that Red Eye troops probably don't, and I believe Homage is watching for us to land there. The others nodded. Zenith looked concerned. Will they even allow a zebra inside? Homage will, I assured her. Zenith may not get the run of the tower, but there was no way we are leaving her out in the cold. As we approached the turning point for Calamity's shack, Blackwing swooped close, flying alongside the Sky Bandit. The Griffin signaled me. Do you think Godna will be satisfied with the payment? I called out over the rush of wind. Blackwing barked a laugh. I think she'll be surprised. Disturbed, maybe. She was hoping for rights to draw from Stable 2's water talisman. Instead, she's getting offered to move the entire damn population of Stable 2 as well as most valuable assets to her domain. Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, you do that. Absolutely. That's awesome. You should. As Velvet Remedy had determined, Stable 2 could not afford to remain isolated for much longer. The population needed to genetically spread. Ugh, hate it. To introduce new breeding stock from the outside. I hate it. But they couldn't just open the stable door, not with Stable 2 near the edge of the Everfree Forest. In an hour's trot of Raider territory, they needed to move. Shattered Hoof? provided additional population and safety. With this plan, the water talisman would be moved to Junction R7, and the entire subterranean apple orchard would be relocated to the mines underneath Shattered Hoof. The ponies of Stable 2 would start building homes in the land between Junction R7 and the old prison. It would be a massive undertaking, but then old Appaloosa had been built by Earth ponies in a single year. Dude, I'm absolutely looking forward to this little construction simulator thing that they have been working on this entire story pretty much. At the end of this story, I bet these locations are going to become a thriving metropolis. Gosh, maybe even Red Eye's forces will be completely capitulated into this mass also. That'll be interesting. It felt odd knowing that my new home was going to become my old home. Within 5 years, Junction R7 was going to be the crater of the town. It has a spooky energy. It makes sense. It's completely understandable. I'm more worried about the delay, I called out. It's going to be a few years at best before the ponies in Stable 2 can actually start the move. Right now, the area outside the stable is just too dangerous. The Everfree Forest exodus, however, was just part of the problem. I was even more worried about the retaliation from Steel Rangers. So for now, the stable was sealing itself up again. The ponies of Stable 2 needed time to process and cope with the trauma. They needed time to clean the stable and rebuild their lives. They wouldn't be able to forget, and part of me thought that was good, as it would prevent them from losing sight of what they owed and the changes that needed to be made. God's patient, Blackwing commented, but you've got other problems. Only way to ferry the orchard to Shattered Hoof is by rail, and those tracks pass through New Appaloosa. Crap, that's right. We'll work something out, I assured her, but I've got to deal with Red Eyes first. Dun dun dun. I sounded more confident than I felt, but Calamity's words had reminded me that while there might be questionable or even downright villainous ponies in high places at New Appaloosa, the bulk of the townsfolk were good ponies. Hell, Trixie Do lived there. The thought of the ghoul Pegasus brought up another responsibility. I had to find a way to thank her. We all owed her our lives. Without those stealth bucks which she had given freely to aid Blackwing in saving the ponies of my home. I moved away from the edge of the skybanner as Blackwing veered off. The other griffins followed closely. Butcher blew a kiss in our direction. I think it was for Steelhooves, but I had no idea why. Maybe just the camaraderie that comes with mutual love of excessive firepower. Saucy. See, I can handle limitations. These past few chapters have been safe. Very safe in terms of vocabulary choices that I appreciate. That's one giant cloud of scary black smoke, Calamity commented as we approached his shack. The smoke from the Everfree Forest fires had tinted the air as an angry salmon hue. Calamity's shack, nestled halfway up a rugged plateau, was slightly closer to New Appaloosa than it was the closest border of the Everfree Forest. While it was nowhere near the fires, the prevailing winds were blowing the smoke for miles. I've grown accustomed to the strange sickly quality of the air outside, but Scootaloo's pitbuck message brought back memories, and the memories bring back memories, bring back... That first morning in the equestrian wasteland, how the sheer oddness of it struck me. This was altogether different. I could smell unnatural odors riding in the smoke. I could taste something pungently bittersweet with each breath. Should we be breathing this? I asked Velvet Remedy. I was reminded the dangers of working in the Parasprite incinerator pits. Did any pony know what nastiness the smoke from the Everfree Forest might carry with it? I suddenly envied the Steel Rangers, outcasts and otherwise, for the rebreather built into their armored suits. Probably not, Velvet Remedy said, doing absolutely nothing to assuage my fears. Understandable, though. What else are you gonna do? The cliffs around the shack were precarious with no safe path to ascend, and no outcrop into land, the passenger wagon. It was, after all, a home for a Pegasus. Calamity was forced to land at the base of the cliffs. After brief discussion, it was suggested that Calamity and I would head up alone. I forgot I had music running. Or was supposed to, anyway. Beautiful. Oh no, Velvet Remedy put her hoof down. You did not bring us all the way here. Calamity, to your old home, only to not let me see it. Calamity nickered, looking apprehensive and a bit embarrassed. Come on now, Velvet purred. I showed you mine, now you show me yours. Uh-oh. I tried very hard to think of other things. Tell you what, I'll levitate myself up there while you two fly up. Can you do that, little Pip? Levitate yourself that far? To be honest, I wasn't sure. Self-levitation had always been the hardest trick. I wanted to give it a try, but I didn't want to suffer the fall if I failed. Be ready to catch me? I asked meekly. Calamity nodded, stretching out his wings confidently. Somewhere behind me, I heard Zenith ask some pony, Why do they not just make 2 trips? I looked up, pointing my horn towards the shack and swallowed nervously. It was very high. My horn began to glow, focusing. I enveloped my body with a magical envelope and pushed off from the ground. I had done this much before, but just as in the pit, my ascent had begun to slow rapidly. I focused harder and tried to pull myself upwards. I was still slowing. I concentrated, sweat beading on my forehead and running down my neck. An overglow flared around my horn, casting reflections on the cliff rocks. I stopped slowing. I was doing it. I was pulling myself through the air. I was pushing exhaustion. The effort was almost pain, but I was doing it. I was flying. I lay on the little strip of wood that emulated to Calamity's front porch, panting heavily, and my legs didn't want to hold me up. Or they could if I asked, but they didn't want to. It was worth it. For just a little bit, I was actually flying. Oh, that's so cute. That makes me happy. It had not been a graceful act of freedom, as I was neither a Pegasus nor a bird. It had been work, like galloping uphill against the wind, but I had done it, and for a moment all the horrors and pain for the last few days was forgotten in a rush of exertion. I wondered how long it would take Calamity to fly up here with Velvet Remedy. Not long, my mind answered. Swiftly, in fact. I was surprised they weren't already here. I remembered that I still had a memory orb from one of the safes in the Philadelphia Ministry of Magic vault. The orb from the safe which had also held a cloak. Judging from Zenith's reaction and recent Griffin-related experience, I deducted that it had been a zebra stealth cloak. I decided abruptly that I didn't want to spend the wait laying sweaty and wiped on Calamity's porch, so I floated out the memory orb and focused on it, and immediately knew it was a mistake. Remembering that the orb had once come from a ruined box and was likely damaged itself. But it was too late. My body exploded. The end. I'm just kidding. Every nerve being flayed as I burned over and over without dying. I knew my real body must be screaming and thrashing, but the pain was too intense to even fear for my safety. In fact, falling from the cliffside and being dashed on the ground below would be a mercy. 1,000 white hot knives sliced through my brain. An eye blink or an eternity later, the pain stopped as abruptly as it started, and I was no longer myself. I wasn't even a pony. This was a familiar strangeness, and I could feel the cloak draped about me, the hood over my mane and ears, as well as a saddle pouch and something strapped to my side. This too was familiar. I was invisible again. A fact all too easy to glean as I watched the stallion admiring himself in a mirror which should also reflect my host from this angle, but did not. My host was a zebra in a stealth cloak, possibly the same one as before. If you won't accept my offer, then you should at least consider availing yourself of your good fortune that I am willing to pose for your new publication. The stallion suggested as he preened himself. He was a regal, haughty white unicorn, quite handsome in his elder years. I am, after all, the best pony. Uh-oh. hardly in tone and elegant voice which could only belong to Rarity. If the stallion had noticed the slightly depranging tone, he showed no indication of comprehending it. There is no place for grandstanding or glory hounds in the Ministry of Image. Our purpose here is to help the client shine all across Equestria, not ourselves. And our client is all of Equestria itself. We should remain invisible. With a politely sweet tone, she encouraged, perhaps you should try the Ministry of Awesome. I'm so confused. Did they just turn a pony into a brain bot or like into a android of some sort? But like a synth, pretty much, I guess. We were in an office, a rather nice one at that, with elegant curtains and golden trim on the wainscoting. I have no clue. It certainly lacked the humbleness I had come to expect from the Ministry of Image building, which told me this was no MI hub, but the Ministry headquarters or Ministry Walk in Canterlot, the one place where even the Ministry of Image would have to maintain an image. That's easy for you to say, the stallion frowned. You're already in charge of one of the most important branches of Princess Luna's new government. You're already in a position far beyond your wildest peasant dreams. What? Wow, I was quickly forming a rather strong dislike for this buck. Rarity's riposte was controlled, calm, even charming. Humility was a lesson hard learned. In fact, it's called maturing, something which, sadly, you seem to have little acquaintance. This is some sort of revenge, isn't it? Amazingly, the stallion hadn't bothered to glance at the beautiful mare he was talking to. If he was the subject of my host's surveillance, the magical cloak seemed superfluous. Oh, I've no clue. A lady is not vengeful, Rarity informed him with a refined tone. But you are not a lady, the stallion replied thoughtlessly. You are a government official. I wanted to deck him. You are quite fortunate that I am a lady, Rarity responded, her voice lowering, and that I do not have a nearby cake. What does that mean? What does that mean? I had no idea what cake had to do with the conversation, but at least my host finally turned her attention to the gorgeous white unicorn. Again, she looked younger than I would have expected, and there was no gray in her hair. She really knows how to take good care of herself, I thought admiringly. I bet she dyes her mane. Meanwhile, Rarity is over here being an advocate, a cult leader of necromancy. Honestly, Rarity over here leading the UAC. And I am a prince, the stallion informed her, finally deigning to turn his gaze away from himself and towards the mare he was addressing. Proposal? Really? Rarity rolled her eyes. I have long operated under the assumption that your lineage was a joke. Perpetrated by Princess Celestia on. She paused thoughtfully before concluding. Any pony who ever met you, Rarity's horn glowed. If you were to accept my proposal, then you would be a princess, the prince continued, obviously. Oh god, I'm in a three-way. This jerk actually proposed to Rarity. That's what he meant by accepting his offer. A proposal isn't an offer, it's a request. Rarity gleaned around. Is this Prince Blue Blood? Sighed, and you would gain a hoof in one of the most powerful ministries in Equestria, or at least that would be what you seemed to think. She looked askance. I cannot imagine any world where that would be worth it. The prince huffed. You speak as if I am not sacrificing greatly myself in this arrangement. As your husband, I would almost certainly be expected to have relations with you. Unbelievable! I focused, trying to make my host run over and buck him through sheer force of will. Rarity stared silently, her eyes slowly narrowed, her horn glowed briefly again. This conversation is over. Prince Blueblood, it is time for you to leave. If you have any further business, please address it to any pony other than me. Your presence causes me physical pain. I am a prince and a member in high standing in the courts of Camelot. You would do well to, but I don't want to, Rarity interrupted. I don't like you. In fact, I find you quite horrid. I despise that my position requires me to acknowledge your existence, and much worse, give you the occasional time of day. But that time had come to a close. Goodbye. Prince Blueblood huffed, standing tall. You have no place to complain. It is I who should. Oh, I'm not complaining. Uh-oh. Rarity's eye narrowed dangerously. I'm whining. If I was complaining, it would suggest there is a higher authority to complain to, but there is not. I am the highest authority within this ministry. Observe. Rarity trotted over to her desk and pushed a button with her hoof. Oh, guards! She turned to smile at the unicorn stand as the double's doors at the end of the room swung open and 2 guard ponies appeared. Prince Blueblood backpedaled, startled. Please escort the prince off the property. If he resists, arrest him. I would have enjoyed the show had my host not backed away. Heart beating slightly faster, she turned our head and I felt my teeth biting down on the object strapped to her side. It was the hilt of a sheathed blade, and the zebra oh shoot, it was an assassin! Oh god! The guards did as the ministry mayor requested. Prince Blueblood showed enough intelligence to not resist. I had hoped that once they were gone, my host would resheath her blade, but the zebra clearly had other plans. We were alone with Rarity in her office, and she couldn't see us. Unbelievable, she nickered, echoing my previous thought. The elder unicorn had her back to us, her head lowered as if she focused on something on her desk as my host began to creep closer. No, I tried to shout a warning. Oh my gosh, we are getting a colorized version of Rarity's assassination from a first-person view. The zebra turned her head, aiming the blade for the back of Rarity's neck, right in the lush of her mane. I could feel my host tense for a strike. Rarity shifted slightly, her horn glowing as one of the gems on the front of her desk slid aside, revealing a secret lock that demanded her attention. Please no. I felt something shift in the zebra's saddle pouch. A new weight. Suddenly, frantically, my horse backed up. I heard the detonation, felt a brutal pressure and a searing pain, then nothing. My host fell, unmoving, save for a twitching she could barely even feel. It was as if her body had gone numb. Simply unbelievable, reiterated Rarity. She elegantly turned, staring at where we had collapsed, invisible on the floor. I heard more than felt the cloak being pulled off my host, glowing in blue magical field that mirrored the soft light tracing the spirals around Rarity's horn. The moment it moved, both the cloak and my host became visible. Rarity paid us no attention, floating the cloak to her and flipping the rough fabric about until found the gemstone clasp. There you are, my pretty, she said telekinetically, ripping the gemstone free, breaking the clasp in the... Dude, that is so meta of Rarity! Rarity literally used her freaking powers to detect an assassin. That is so freaking awesome. She detected the gem on the freaking invader. Oh my god, that's so cool. Oh, don't you have some interesting magic, she said as she appraised the gem, tossing the rest of the cloak aside. Twy will love taking a closer look at you. I realized I was seeing the inception of stealth bucks. I recalled a message I had found in the recruitment center. Intelligence suggested that the zebras had developed invisibility spell fetishes, but this looks like something designed by the Ministry of Magic. In the pervading paranoia of late wartime Equestria, some pony had feared the worst, not knowing what Twilight Sparkle knew. But the zebras hadn't gotten this magic from us. We had gotten it from them. The long, wicked blade lay on the carpet where it had fallen, close yet impossibly out of reach. My host tried to move towards it, but her body wouldn't respond. I slipped a stun grenade into your saddle pouch, Rarity informed us, moving the gemstone out of sight. I like to think I'm rather expert at manipulating cloth, even if I can't see it. The zebra shuffled closer to the blade. Really, Rarity said with a ladylike scoff. She floated the blade away, turning a disdainful gaze on us. A zebra assassin attempted to infiltrate my office and murder me, concealed under a cloak with an enchanted gemstone. She leaned closer. I'd explain how I got my cutie mark, but it wouldn't do any good where you're going. Another cocoon of blue light wrapped around a headset on her desk and floated over her head, gently sliding it into place around her ears and muzzle. Although I do wonder where you were trying to assassinate one of the Nightmare Moon's cabinet, she asked, turning her tail to us as she slid open the hidden compartment in her desk. Or were you after this? Rarity cantered to face us. Floating in front of her was a powerful, dark tome bound in a twisted black hide, aka the Necronomicon. Literally the Book of Demons. The moment I saw the book, I knew it held so many secrets, so many things just waiting for me to unlock if I could only look at the pages. Dude, that's Rarity literally is the bearer of the Necronomicon. Well, I suppose we'll find out, won't we? Rarity promised. She lifted a hoof to the headset, her expression instantly changing one of baleful bridal joy. Oh, Pinkie Pie, this is Rarity. I've got a present for you, she smiled. You'll love this one. Spaghetti-O. Oh my god, dude, I'm geeking. I'm gawking over that. That was absolutely such a fun segment. I came to on a warn. Oh god, caught in a calamity shack. Caught in calamity shack. Velvet Remedy was laying on the floor, panting and soaked in sweat. Calamity himself stood towering over me, shouted with the light coming through the window over the workbench behind him. What happened, little Pip? Where? I blinked, looking around. What? You made it all the way up, Calamity asserted. I saw you do it, but we were most of the way up when you screamed, thrashing like you were on fire, and flung yourself from the porch. Dude, imagine being in such a crisis, you throw yourself out the freaking porch. Like, what the? Like, you just look up, what the hell are they doing? I fell. My eyes went wide. I turned, looking around. The door to the shack was open. I blinked as the image of the black book swam in front of me. Dude, this is literally like the Doom games. Like, every time I, read the text, the black book, I just see, like, the Doom flashbacks, like when Doom Guy touches his armor in Doom 2016, how he just gets all those visions and sees the sigils of the demons and crud. That's literally what I imagine about this black book, but now from now on, every time Little Pip sees it, that's what she sees. It's just all these sigils and just obscure viewings. Swam in front of me, much like having turned away after staring at the bright light and seeing the shape of the light dance before your eyes, but nothing in a visited memory had ever left such an imprint outside of the experience. I blinked, clearing my vision. I could see the porch where I had been laying. The memory orb was nowhere in sight. Darn tootin' you fell, Calamity retorted. We had a hell of a time getting you up here, even after you went limp. Been worried sick. What the hell happened? I looked towards the empty porch again. My instinct was no lie, but there wasn't a lie that wouldn't end up worrying my friends needlessly. I made a mistake while I was waiting. I touched a memory orb, only it was damaged. You did what? Calamity snapped. On the porch? Little Pip, I barely caught ya. I cringed back, staring at my Pegasus friend, my hooves pushing at the cloth on his cot as my back thumped softly against the wall. You know, it's hard enough flying while carrying one pony. I can't do it with two. When the second one's bucking and screaming like she's been eaten from the inside out, Calamity lashed out. Unpleasant nightmares about Paris spreads washed through my mind. You nearly brought us all down. Velvet Remedy had to use her magic to carry ya, and I'll remind you that she ain't nearly as good as that spell as y'all are. Woohoo! I turned a nervous look to Velvet. She was so exhausted that she could barely return my gaze. And don't you think, after all she's been through last night, that maybe she didn't deserve for you to make us all scared to death that you're dying from something in the smoke? Oh goddess, we thought of what I'd thoughtlessly done to them crushed down on me. I started to shake the hurt from my shame, and Calamity's righteous anger broke the floodgates, and silently the emotional deluge of the last half a week consumed me. The horrors of Philadelphia slavery, the pit, the threat to homage, the slaughter at Stable 2, my mother. Oh yeah, I forgot that Velvet Remedy slapped Little Pip's mother. That was hilarious. I'm sorry, I yelled back, bursting in tears. I fucked up. I was horrible. I'm sorry. God dang it, Lil Pip, Calamity growled back angrily. Your curiosity is gonna get you killed one of these days, and today you nearly took all of us with you. I'm sorry, Calamity snorted, glowering as I broke into sobs. Velvet Remedy trembled, huffing as she got to her feet and moved closer to me, pulling herself onto the cot with a painful effort. Okay, Calamity insisted. Ground rules. From now on, you don't play with one of those things unless you're on the ground, out of combat, somewhere safe, and you don't have one of us watching over you. Having laid the law, Calamity allowed his expression to soften. His own utter exhaustion finally showed through his eyes. He gently wrapped me with a wing. The two of them stayed with me until the tempest passed. Now buck up, little Pip, Calamity finally said, prodding me with his wing. You're gonna have a look at that floor safe or not. I nodded, although for the first time, I really didn't feel right allowing my curiosity to be sated. I slid slowly from the cot and looked at the floor beneath it. It was at most an average lock. Even in my distress, I could open it easily, with or without tools. The safe clicked open. Amongst the saddlebags with their decaying personal effects, one item sat gleaming and unblemished by time. A statuette of Rainbow Dash. Her pose was powerful, wings spread, and a huge grin on her face. 20% cooler. Go ahead, Calamity said softly. Take it. I know you collect those things. But don't you want it? I asked, surprised. I already got her cutie mark burnt into my flanks. I figure she's already close enough to me. Oh my god, that is so freaking meta, dude. Dude, you don't need Rainbow Dash when you have her cutie mark literally burned into you. I nodded, then carefully reached out with my magic, experiencing a sudden surge as my magic touched the statuette. I was better. I felt like I could be better than I had been before. Do anything, nimbler, more graceful. But much more than that, I was in a word, cooler. Now 20% cooler. Little Pip, now 20% more awesome. Be awesome. Calamity stepped out of his dude. Did that just give like Little Pip like Riz over everybody? Dude, honestly, that's the best spot for it. You know, I gotta agree with you there. Would it be custom though, or would it be an official one? I guess it's always rough to think about though, right? Because like every single possible cutie mark already exists pretty much in the show. Lil Riz. Yes! Lil Riz! Little Riz! Yes. Genius. How loud was that? I just snapped my finger. It sounds pretty loud. I'm looking at the audio gauge. It's going into... Oh, I just hit my mic. Nope. Nope, there we go. It like goes into red sometimes. Nope. There we go. It's going into red. How loud is that? Is that loud? I don't know why I was like, is that loud? Meanwhile, I'm literally like stabbing you in the chest. Does this hurt at all? Do you feel this? Do you feel the knife? You know, something like that, but it's like just me snapping my finger. Little Riz. Hey, you know what? You have two though, so you can get another one on the other side as well. Just saying. See, in my eyes, just do one of Luna and Celestia, one on both sides. It's the perfect combo. Or you could do Nightmare Moon and Dawnbreaker. It just works. Calamity stepped out of his shack and into the oddly reddish-orange air. He was encased in the terrifying black carapace of his old enclave armor. The tips of his 4 Nova Surge rifles glistened wickedly. He tested his wings and the scorpion tail. Then he lowered his head and hoofed off the helmet. He looked back up He looked back up, letting the smoky wind catch in his orange mane. He looked weird without his hat on. I know. As a fellow slay queen, I'm known to have some pretty slay ideas. Forget it, he huffed with a stomp. I'm not going round like this. He turned and trotted back into the shack. I'd rather be shot. It took him less than a minute to shuck the armor. Velvet Remedy wrapped it in her magic, making sure to also collect his helmet for the porch. Well, at least take it with us. You may change your mind when you see whatever forces Red Eye has around Tenpony Tower. Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I've considered that myself. I'm not gonna lie. I've considered that very idea that I just explained. I've considered it. I thought it would be an excellent slay idea. It took him less than a minute to shuck the armor. Velvet Remedy wrapped it in her magic, making sure to also collect his helmet from the porch. Well, at least take it with us. You may change your mind when we see whatever forces Red Eye has around Tenpony Tower. Of course we're still streaming. I already lost an hour of footage, an hour and a half actually. Actually, it was more like an hour and 50 minutes, believe it or not. So, yeah. So add that onto this, we're at like 4 hours. Hooray! Get the first, send pics to everybody. I don't know, that might be seen as highly cringe. I'm good. Maybe we'll make that a milestone or something if we ever get to it. There's a way to think about it. Think positive, right? Never throw anything under the bus. I can live with it with the rest of my life. And I can die at the age of 90 with that on my hips. Beautiful. Oh god, the amount of cost that would be. Oh god. Milestone goal. Make it happen. We'll see about it. I'll figure something out. I'm sorry, I'm getting too distracted. This idea, I just loved. I love talking about this. This is so silly goofy. Fine, he grumped. I'll grab anything I want. Let's just go. I know, right? I'm technically right back to where I was pre-incident. I paused. Calamity? I know you were hoping to sell a bunch of those slavers' weapons up at Tenpony, but I really think we should give them to Ditzy Doo, you know, as a thank you for what she did for Stable 2. Velvet Remedy neighed. That would be a rather impersonal gift, little Pip, and possibly a painful one, considering what slavers have done to her. I frowned, wincing. Besides, do you really want to give New Appaloosa more weapons right now? I had to admit that I did not. Instead, Velvet Remedy looked to Calamity. Do you know anything that Ditzy Doo likes? I agree with Little Pip. We need to give her a gift, something to show our thanks for her help. Well, Calamity thought, she likes muffins. Velvet looked shocked. Can ghouls even eat? Apparently they didn't have to, but they could. I smiled between Homage and Zenith. We had the best cooks in the Equestrian Wasteland. I don't make promises, but I mean, maybe eventually I'll look at it. I get asked to look at so much cred these days. It's not even fair. I can't look at everything. The backlog list just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then yeah, eventually we're at a point where it's just gonna be like every man for himself, pretty much. Oh, thank you for that. But I'm I know sometimes you get a little derailed, but I'm going to be prioritizing this story here though versus just general loose conversation. Respectfully, of course. All right, see ya on the next one. Well, just like post it somewhere. That's fine. In the comments or something. Oh my god, I groaned, catching myself before the imagination went to. I'm gonna just tunnel vision and read for a little bit, so I'm gonna just avoid comments for a little bit here because I've been a little sidetracked for a little while here, so time to ball in, you know, time to lock in. As of Dead Space. That's what we did yesterday. I looked over the side of the passageway and twilight was spreading across the wasteland as we approached Fetlock. Below I spotted the mostly collapsed ruins of the first cottage, but the wandering merchant and his mechanical owl had moved on. As we approached Fetlock, I spotted the faint column of smoke raising up from the pony hole that led to Stable 29, more curled up from the nearby drainage grates. There were no sounds of fighting. This is either very good, Steelhooves commented, or very bad. As we drew closer, a steel ranger moved out of the shadows. There was a flash of light. I ducked, expecting impact. But it hadn't been a weapon. It was a flare. No, you can keep doing it. But it's like I said, I'm just gonna tunnel into the story. I guess you'd be talking to yourself, though, so. Thank Applejack, I thought I heard Steelhooves mutter. It was a good news. I let out a breath. It was about time the equestrian wasteland threw us a break. Our luck continued to hold as we glided through the night over the Manhattan ruins. As we approached the top of Tenpony Tower, I could see the firelights from Red Eye's camps below, ringing the tower on the ground and lighting up the celestial line. They had taken the exterior of the 4 Stars station. Griffins flew in patterns around the tower, but they flew low, looking for targets on the ground. I realized with a start that the Red Eye didn't know about the Sky Bandit. He knew we had a Pegasus, so we could suspect we had faster transport, but he had to allow for the possibility that we were walking. And if that were true, we'd barely be making Manhattan now if we traveled here straight from Philadelphia. We had time. We had a problem. There was an alicorn perched on the roof of Tenpony Tower. Her shield was down. All the better to spot incoming little pips. I could shoot her. The silent zebra rifle would more than do the trick, but the moment she went down, every alicorn in the area would know, and there was a good chance Red Eye would too. The passenger wagon lurched hard. Ah crap. That was a bad scout, but you know, we tried. There's a time and a place. Calamity grunted as we began to sink out of the sky. The spark batteries were drained and our poor Pegasus was too exhausted to handle the sudden change in weight. He nearly fainted from the strain. We began to plummet. Frantically, I concentrated on the wrappings, the Sky Bandit with my magic. If I could pull myself through the air, maybe I could slow or even reverse our fall. My horn flared brightly. The strain hit me like a shock, buckling my legs, reminded me that I hadn't slept in over a day. We were still falling. I pushed harder, gasping, my body trembling. A layer of overglow burst from my horn. Sparks started to shoot from its tip. The glow around the Sky Bandit became brilliant. It attracted the attention of one of the griffins below as we plummeted towards the patrol line. The griffin turned towards us, lifting a sniper rifle and fired. Now everyone would know we were here. But I couldn't focus on that. I was pouring everything I had into trying to slow our descent. A second overglow wrapped my horn. Beams of light shot out of it. We began to slow. Ah, hail. Ah, hail. Some engineer. Calamity moaned weakly. All but collapsed in the harness as the alicorn took off from the roof, diving towards us as she put up her shield. I screamed, somehow tapping into strength I didn't have. Be strong, be unwavering, and be awesome. A third layer of overglow erupted from my horn. The Sky Bandit stopped abruptly, hovering into the air. Then we began to ascend. The alicorn's eyes widened as she stopped her descent. Her glowing horn began to crackle with electricity as she prepared to cast a bolt of lightning at us. The griffin shot again. This time, the bullet hit the wagon, leaving a small hole in the roof. The griffin began to reload and was engulfed in green flame. Pyrelight hooted happily and swooped back up after us. Velvet Remedy tossed her shield around the Sky Bandit. The first bolt of lightning struck it, and the shield imploded, but it kept us from being hit. Part of my mind realized that the shock from a strike would obliterate my concentration, and we would fall to our deaths. The alicorn was flying upwards, back towards the roof, keeping a distance between herself and us, as her horn cracked again with electricity. Hey, that's good, though. Anything's better than nothing, right? As long as somebody's seeing it, though, that's what counts. Any publicity is good publicity, unless it's bad publicity, as they say. Pyrolite, her roof keeping a distance between herself and us, and her horn cracked against with electricity. Pyrolite landed next to me. I want to know if we will learn how these alicorns are actually technically created. I want to know. I want to know. I can only imagine it's some sort of alien crud. Some sort of outlandish alien crud. Again, Pyrolite landed next to Velvet Remedy, looking proud. Zenith had shattered another flask on the floor and was stomping in it. As the second bolt lashed out, the zebra grabbed my mane in her teeth and pulled me onto her back. That powerful electrical bolt hit the Sky Bandit, arching all about the metal frame. Velvet let out a ladylike squeal and collapsed. Pyrolite squawked and tumbled to the floor of the passenger wagon. Zenith and I remembered unharmed. Protected by her insulating potion, we continued to rise. There was nothing else we could do. The alicorn landed back on the edge of the roof. Motes of magic began to form in a ring about her, forming into eldritch darts. From somewhere on the rooftop, a lashing beam of cosmic energy struck the alicorn, rippling the shield where it pushed through to strike the monster directly. The shield imploded as the alicorn was reduced to a luminescent moon-colored ash. I floated the Sky Bandit onto the rooftop. Homage was waiting there for us, that alien weapon floating by her sides. As soon as she saw me, she galloped into the passenger wagon and wrapped me in a hug. Homage! I could smell her, feel her soft coat and the warmth of her body. My own relaxed in her embrace, and once more, I began to cry. Wah, 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 wah. Okay, anyway, that was sad. Give me just a sec. Need to check something. Do. Okay. A zebra, Homage squealed happily. Zenith cringed back as Homage offered her hoof. She doesn't like being touched, I told the sexy gray unicorn. Homage lowered her hoof and nodded. And who might you be? Zenith asked, prompting introductions. Inspiration hit me. Homage, would you allow... I paused. Could you ask DJ Pwn 3 if Zenith could spend some time in the Mace BS? I have no clue what that's supposed to be. I just say Mace BS. I have no idea. Homage and Zenith both looked at me curiously. Please? I asked Homage. I'm sure it could be arranged, Homage said trustingly. I turned to my zebra friend. DJ Pwn 3 has cameras all over the equestrian wasteland. Maybe one of them has seen your daughter or tribe. Dude, that is, you know what's bad is that's not even the most unhinged thing we've read about. We've read. Zebra's eyes widened. I saw a glimmer of hope. Homage smiled. Yes, please. And I'm sure I could get DJ Pwn 3 to let you peek at some of our archived footage. I'll show you how to do so when you leave, and then leave you in private. She blushed a little. Uh-oh. Little Pip and I are going to be busy, but we won't be far away. She likes spanking and bondage. Velvet told Homage in a conspiratorial, overly loud whisper. This is what I'm talking about. There's a limit, like there's a line, and we went way past that line. We straight up annihilated that line. We went through it like a shooting star. I stared at her wide-eyed, blushing hotly. Ooh, it's getting warm in here. That's not true. Homage raised an eyebrow. Did you two talk about liking bondage and spankings? She asked innocently. No, I mean, yes, but... Oh, Homage feigned understanding. So you talked about Velvet liking bondage. No, me, but, crap. It just gets worse. So you do like it. Homage was grinning way too much. I gave up, hanging my head and accepted my doomedness. Oh no, this is so bad. Oh my god. See, sometimes I feel like I'm reading something I shouldn't. I narrowed my eyes, whispering to the charcoal-coated mare. All those times I fantasized about you, that was before I learned you were evil. Don't worry, Homa said, wrapping a foreleg about me as she smiled, her eyes twinkling as she glanced to Velvet. Last time, oh God, you were. I'm gonna find out just how many. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, we're just gonna go past that. See, this is what I'm talking about. Unhinged. Unhinged at the core. It's not the worst thing I could be reading. No. But there's certainly a lot worse out there. This is like I said, this is what I'm talking about there being the line. Like, this is like bullet. There's like bulletproof glass, and then there's us reading this. We can go straight through that glass in one go. Okay, let's see how much more of this deep, saucy fanfic I have to actually read before I torture myself. Okay, I'm just gonna mumble this. This myself learning with him. Business on testing wanted to run and do whatever and to run away hide on the rough forever straight feeling fan nearly fell over delicate homage man towards the rooftop. Wow. Wowza, the set standing over the others, she walked away, her exotic voice getting a touch of melancholy. With all your teasing, I was beginning to feel sorry for the little one. Now I just feel jealous. Yes, Velvet Remedy agreed, sending a touch done. So do I. She turned to Calamity. No offense. Offense? Hell, I feel jealous. Homage snickered, then turned to the others. Are you coming? I stopped at first, thinking that she was inviting them to watch. That I couldn't possibly. No. But Homage had less cruel plans. I've arranged for us rest of you to have some sweet as before. It's all taken care of. To the sweet. That's true, but I can only proofread so much in the moment, you know? My brain, I can only read so many lines ahead before I accidentally stumble into the graveyard, the shadow realm. It's like walking into quicksand for me. Like when I read this, there's no forewarning. The quicksand just appears and my feet are already in deep. See, you gotta think about the people with glasses. Someone's gotta read it for them. Someone's gotta hear the saucy context. No, I'm just kidding. I feel bad. I feel bad for everyone and myself involved. Homage snickered, then turned to the others. Are you coming? I stopped at first, thinking that she was inviting them to watch. That I couldn't possibly. No, see, this is worse. But Homage had less cruel plans. I've arranged for the rest of you to have the same suite as before. It's all taken care of. Okay. Woo! Velvet, Remedy, and Calamity had taken their leave, Velvet mentioning something about dragging the poor Pegasus back to the spa. Homage, Zenith, and I were left alone in the room with huge alicorn water fountain, as physically exhausted, emotionally gutted, and aching. Oh God, no. See, this is what I'm talking about. I can only read so much until I stumble into something I regret. See attention for my needs and all those about. First came getting Zenith set up for the emergency broadcast station. Zenith's eyes went even wider as she took hold of me. Took in the walls of monitor screens. I can't even read anymore. Even my mind has started to be manipulated by the words. I can't even read this anymore. Don't make it worse. Many still flickered and suffered distorted images, but I saw all of them were working. This is amazing, the zebra breathed. What is this place? Homage told her, adding, the images you see are from the spire towers like the one in Philadelphia. Until just over 3 days ago, the ones from Philadelphia were dark. Red Eye is using that tower for something and was keeping me from getting a signal. But thanks to the little Pip, DJ Pone 3 now has eyes in the heart of slaver territory too. Homage gave Zenith a sympathetic and hopeful smile. We'll finally be able to start doing some real good out there. The zebra nodded. For the next hour, Homage instructed the zebra in the camera controls and accessing the archives. Zenith took to it with difficulty. In the meantime, I mostly just watched in Homage's home. I felt safe. I was no longer on the edge, no longer running or fighting, and my body kept trying to fall asleep. I did, however, manage to get a promise of muffins for both of them. Ditsy Doo would soon be getting the biggest and best muffin delivery in the history of the equestrian wasteland. That's cute. That's nice. Then finally, Homage and I were alone together in the foyer, standing next to the fountain. And what shall I do with you, my wasteland heroine? Homage purred. First, I mean. Ooh, saucy. Homage, I said reluctantly, we need to talk. Oh my, sounds serious. I know it did fall into my haunches. I began to talk, starting with the truth about Steelhooves and Chief Grimstar, apologizing profusely for having not told her sooner. Homage's expression was troubled but forgiving. Then I told her of Red Eye and the Mega Spell. You know, the nuke on the city, under the city or something. We have to evacuate the tower, I said finally, quickly and stealthily. We can't leave Tenpony Tower, Homage said, shaking her head. I know they have you surrounded, but maybe with the Sky Bandit or through the tunnels, I fretted. It can't be impossible. Homage shook her head again. No, some of the population maybe, but even then I can't leave here. We can't let Red Eye take this place. I know DJ Pone 3 is important, but he's not as important as your life. She couldn't understand that, of course, but I had seen the gardens of Equestria. I knew. Then you seriously underestimate the need for the voice of truth and hope in this ruined world, Homage told me. DJ Pone 3 gives the ponies of the equestrian wasteland the warnings and the advice they need to survive. But more than that, he gave them a comfort and the hope they need to make surviving worthwhile. If you haven't gotten the message, that's kind of been like almost a running theme in this whole thing for quite a while chapters. There's even a saucy fanfic somewhere in the earlier chapters. Yeah. We completely dodged that though, but it's there. It's there. There was some serious I believe it was 5,000 words. A little separate DLC, adult edition. But yeah, no, we dodged that sucker. But it exists. We've been in that territory for a while there, bud. I looked away and nodded, feeling ashamed. She was right. And while I would say DJ Pother is the most vital thing we need to preserve and protect here, he is not the only treasure in this tower. What? I looked up in surprise. This was new. Homage brushed my hair tenderly, even as her own blue mane fell into my eyes. Little Pip love, she said. That word soothing thrills me, though. Ignited desires and dreams. Tenpony Tower was prominent hub for the Ministry of Arcane Sciences. It's not a hotel or a mall. There are secrets here. Nah, dude, the only emotion we should all be feeling is fear. Fear about what we are reading. I am mortified. Come on, bring on the boom boom, bring on the war. Bring on the enclave. In the armor we trust. Secrets? I asked that damnable curious pony in my head, perking at the mere idea. What sort of secrets? I could tell Homage was debating whether or not to tell me, but only for a moment. Little Pip, did you ever wonder how I could stay here? DJ Ponther's public assistant when the stuffy lot in this place despises him so? I had to admit, the question had never occurred to me. Oh yeah? Are you starting to be a little bit enthralled in the story? It's getting a little warm over there. Hate myself. I hate it. I hate myself. I am my own worst enemy. guys, calm down. Calm down over there. Did you ever wonder how I could stay here? DJ Po3's public assistant, when the stuffy lot in this place despises him so? I had to admit the question had never occurred to me. There is a secret society within Tenpony Tower. There are the ones who, I dare say, are the really in charge. Oh my gosh, Tenpony Tower is run by a secret society. Backed up and looked around. There are places in this building that are sealed off from the general public. Places where the ministry's secrets played out. All manner of magic research and development. She looked at me, tossing her hair out of her eyes. You know that annoying shield spell the alicorns all have? It was developed here. I found myself looking up at the age-darkened bronze statuette, the alicorn in the room. And you haven't seen how powerful that spell can get if you pump enough power into it. Homage told me the only reason the alicorn shields can be punched through with the right firepower is because they can't manifest it at anywhere near full power. Actually, I said, remembering the supercharged alicorn from the Philadelphia crater flying through the building, her shield tearing apart walls and supports. I think I have. Homage bade me to tell her about it. Once I was done, she nodded, visibly shaken. I think you're right, she admitted. Homage continued, in the weeks before the end, one of the other hubs in the Ministry of Arcane Science cracked some sort of sub-spell that they used to enhance the shield spell, she continued. Not make it more powerful, but make it so that specifically designated ponies could pass through a shield as if it wasn't there. They started creating enchanted shield generators, placing them inside rooms or sections of buildings that they wanted to secure. With that, Homage hopped up onto the fountain's rim and tapped her right hoof rhythmically on the alicorn statuette. Aghast as the horn flared with magic and the glowing ore of the magical shield swept over the walls, the Mace BS and Twilight's Athenium are amongst Tenpony Tower's sealed areas, she said with a smile. To the populations below, DJ Pone 3 has always been a strange hermit living in part of the tower that no pony can get to, always dealing with the outside world through intermediaries. My jaw dropped. Once started, the only way to turn off the shield was from inside, and the only ponies who could get inside were those designated by the subspell. Bypass spells, I said, slowly reclosing my jaw. Homage gave me a quizzical look. The subspell, it's called a bypass. Twilight Sparkle reverse engineered it from the zebra enchantment, like the stealth box. I thought shield screens that lit specific materials through my flank. Huh. Interesting. I might have read an interesting saucy message there that I did not realize. Weird. Okay, anyway, damn it. I was going to have to kill the goddess for Red Eye after all. Not only was it the only way to protect Homage and the ponies of Tenpony Tower, it was the only way to keep them from taking too close a look at this place. Could we move all the ponies of the tower into the shielded areas? I asked. Not for long, Homage answered. And I don't think it would do too much good. If that bale-firing bomb goes off, it will take out the foundation and everything not protected. All the shielding in Equestria won't save us from the fall. Glumly, she admitted. The shields that were used to protect the whole building haven't worked since the first one. I know, I told her, recounting how wrong turn in the basement had brought me to the room full of generators. I didn't mention the maintenance pony who had died from shrapnel when the megaspell overloaded them and they all exploded. Another realization struck me. Red Eye is researching a way to trick a bypass. I warned her. If these shields were being used to house the most vital research of at least one of the ministries, what could he be after? Was it here? He hadn't had much success yet, but there got to be ponies working on it. Homage frowned. Not good. She hoped down from the fountain. Thank you for the warning, little Pip. She approached me. Problem is, there already is a way to trick a bypass, right? I nodded. The bypass works on genetics, and if it's not as accurate as the Ministry of Arcane Sciences thought, close family members of the designated ponies or even a direct descendant of them can get through a bypass. That's how I can get in here, even if the shields are up. Homage looked back to the alicorn and then to me. The shields in Tenpony Tower were set to allow only Twilight Sparkle and the 3 highest-ranking unicorns in the Manhattan MAS hub to pass through. Turns out, I'm a direct descendant of one of those high-ranking unicorns, she revealed to me, just like the ponies who actually control Tenpony Tower. That's why they want me here, Homage added cautiously, as long as it don't make too many waves. Oh, wow. I'll admit, I've been talking you up a lot, and I think I'm finally getting the others to come around. It won't be long before I can put the special resources of this tower at your hooves. Holmes smiled sweetly. Let me give you the extended tour. I think you have a lot less than that. What? I mean, what? Shield spells had only been the start. Homage guided me through one concealed hallway and shielded chamber after another, turning off the shields for me and restoring them in our wake. We walked into a large, multicolored ritual chamber, bleached brightest white. The floor was an intricate mosaic of white on white tiles and exquisite arcane patterns. There was a mere chimney leading up to a skylight looking into the darkness of the clouds above. What is this? This, Homage revealed, is a mega spell chamber. I stumbled. Wait, you can cast mega spells here? Homage giggled. Yes and no. You can cast a specific mega spell in here. If you had enough unicorns who knew the spell, each mega spell chamber is keyed to a specific spell, apparently. I nodded, my mouth suddenly dry. How many mega spell chambers does Tenpony Tower have? Just this one, Homage admittedly sadly, and it's useless. Useless? Homage moved over to one of the chamber's 32 corners. 32 corners? She floated up an audio machine. I found this in the recording studio. Apparently, it never got around to editing. Homage started the machine and hauntingly peaceful music flowed out, plucking a strum from a deep-sounding harp. I closed my eyes and found myself swaying to the music. It was mysterious, unlike anything I had heard before. I try to pull this out once a year for a late-night broadcast. I love it, but it's totally not DJ Pwn 3. I nodded, wanting her to shut up. I was enjoying the music. It was speaking to me, touching on the sorrows of the last week, but without making me hurt. The music ended up in a rippling wave of sound that slowly reverberated away. I heard a voice from the recording, sounding like some pony speaking through the recording studio intercom. That was beautiful, Lyra. Next, let's try. Bro. Lyra confirmed? But an argument in the background, at first almost too quiet to hear, was quickly growing louder. From inside the recording chamber, the voice of a mare whom I assumed to be Lyra spoke up. What's going on? You didn't hear this from me, but Twilight Sparkle's gone, and the last 3 days without sleep, trying to prepare for the princess's inspection, and has been in supreme bitchy mode all day today. I suggest steering clear. Don't worry, I don't think she'll come in here. The arguing voices outside the recording studio were getting loud, close enough to make out the words. Well, that's just great, Twilight. Now she's in the bathroom sobbing her eyes out. Well, I'm sorry, but those results are just unacceptable. I can't go to the princess and tell her that we put her name on a megaspell. That's useless. The ponies in the recording studio had fallen completely silent. The argument was just outside their door. Twilight Sparkle and a male voice that sounded vaguely familiar. There's better ways of handling it than grabbing a pony, pointing and saying, look, there are thousands and thousands of bodies of ponies who are dead because your spell sucks. Explain it to them. Just how the hell was that supposed to help? Don't you get it, Spike? The zebras have mega spell tipped missiles. Hundreds of them. If they launch them, those missiles will reach Equestria from the zebra homeland within minutes. And this celestial one, or Celestia Prime, or whatever they're calling it, can't even be cast unless it's sunny. I can't tell the princess that the only defense we have against those missiles can be defeated by a cloudy day. What if the zebras decide to attack us at night? You know what? Forget it. Twilight, I'm going to take a nap, and frankly, you should too. You're always taking a nap. There's work to be done. Whatever. Wake me when the Twilight I know and love has decided to visit. Until then, I don't even want to speak to you. Ugh, fine. This goes on until we get to the end over here. See this green bar? This green bar has to get all the way to the end. Yeah, this little green bar right up here has to get all the way to the right side of the page. In here, Homer said, waving a hoof of the sprawling agricultural bay, we discovered that the Ministry of Arcane Sciences had perfected spells that purified water, cleaned radiation, and even purged taint. I bogged. If only that man and ghoul doctor had known what he killed so many to accomplish. Unfortunately, Homage informed me, this spell's only work on an extremely small scale. With a lot of effort, we could purge one tree, the fruit becoming ripe and succulent, perfect for consumption. But there's nothing to keep the poison from just seeping back in. And the area affected is so small, it would take an army of unicorns to clean enough of the field to grow a garden without having to worry about the soil going bad before the harvest. But it makes for wonderful potted plants. Yeah, probably. Or an hour and a half. But if you could cast it everywhere, all at once, purge everything, I realized what I was seeing. These were components of the gardens of Equestria. I'd say you were delusional, but I'm talking to my little Pip. I know better. It was time to tell her. When I was done, Homage collapsed weakly. Me? She looked at me as if pleading for me to renounce the truth. The salvation of all Equestria is on me? I nodded. You, Ditsy do, 4 others we don't know who yet. This spell, it will fix everything? Pretty much, I nodded, but there's things that need to be done first. I'm not the wasteland savior. Homage, you are. You and them. I gave her a bittersweet smile. I'm just the one who clears the way. Homage stared at me for a long time, then pushed herself up. I need a drink. Screw my mother and screw my vulnerability to addictions. We were back in the Athenaeum, and Homage was drowning herself in apple whiskey, and I was right there beside her, soused to the whatever it is that ponies get soused to. I have no clue what that word even means. And then Homage slurred, continuing a tale that had blurred into another tale which had jumped off the original story about 4 stories back. Joke Blue says, big deal. You got one box that's bigger inside than outside. Well, Mr. Hooves, I got 4 little saddlebags and I can carry about 30 rifles in them and more ammo than you can shake a hoof at. Hell, you should see how many rakes I can cram into my toolbox back home. Homage thumped down the apple whiskey bottle on the table for emphasis. True. I paused, waving my hooves as I tried to measure my imagination. I was drunk and probably missing something, because there was no way a rake could fit in a toolbox. I finally gave up, deciding it must be a joke. Joke Blue's a funny name. How'd she get that? Alright, peace. Which became one summer, although no more sober, birth defect. Her mother was hit by killing Joke while pregnant. Lucky either of them lived. Huh. Ah, I said, not really understanding, but reaching out a comforting hoof anyway. It seemed the right thing to do, even though I ended up knocking over several of the apple whiskey bottles. Fortunately, most of them were empty. A memory struck with me, and I began to cry again. Lit, Pip? What is it? With a shuddering breath, I recounted. I shot one of the Steel Rangers in the back of the head. I think it was the one who killed my old mentor, but I'm not sure. Well, it sounds like a bitch deserved it. Sounds like all the Steel Rangers did. Yes, I know, but I just snuck up and shot her and kept shooting, even after she was dead, until I'd emptied little Macintosh into her corpse. My breast heaved with a shudder. I don't like the pony I'm becoming. I think I'm losing myself, my voice hitched. Monterey Jack was right. I'm running out of me left to save. Homage was by my side. I didn't remember her leaving her chair. For the second time that night, she held me as I began to cry. She gently led me towards her bed. Come here, little Pip. Rest now. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah? Is this the half? Is this the half you've been waiting for? If Red Eye had a problem with me staying at Tenpony Tower, he did nothing to show it. Even the loss, if the Alicorn and Griffin seemed to go unnoticed. I knew that should worry me. Instead, I ignored it. Instead, I relaxed. I even went to the spa with Homage twice. I didn't want to think of myself as a selfish pony, but fuck Red Eye, I needed this. And hadn't I earned at least a little of it? Maybe not, considering my mistakes. The damaged memory room, the really stupid battle plans going behind the wall alone. But if I didn't, then my companions certainly did. I had hoped Zenith and Homage would get along, but while Homage seemed like a zebra, Zenith maintained a thankful but a remote demeanor, even a touch frosty. It made the muffin baking sessions in the kitchen awkward enough that I spent that time in the library sitting at the table researching and reading. I had just finished a comparative reading of the library's unabridged version of Applied Gemstones with my own and was staring up at the huge painting of Splendid Valley when Zenith trotted in. Any luck finding your daughter? I asked, trying to sound casual as I reminded her with an exceptional and unique tool Homage had put at the zebra's disposal. Yes and no, Zenith replied. I have seen signs of her tribe. They have been living in the foothills beneath the Candelot ruins, she quickly added, safely outside the cloud, but I have seen no sign of my daughter. Still, I thank you for this. You should be thanking Homage. I have. Then why do you act so cold around her? The zebra contemplated me, judged me, then finally said, Did you not see the weapon she used? Your lover had been touched by the stars. She is cursed. No good can come of her. Zenith walked out. Well, fuck. It would seem that even now there was no reasoning with the zebra when it came to that nonsense. I was probably lucky I didn't step in any star-spawn blood, or she might think I was cursed too. There's no such thing as cursed, as I called out after her frustration. With a deep sigh, I buried my head in the scattering of books. A few minutes later, Homage strode in, a puff of muffin batter on her nose. Now then, she whispered huskily, as she wrapped her forelegs around me. I flushed, feeling a pleasant, uncontrolled fluttering wash over me, my body, like I'd fallen into a bed of butterflies. Where was I? That fluttering coalesced in my nether regions, becoming very warm and joyfully difficult to bear. 23, wasn't it? Oh my god, she was actually counting. The sky bandit cut through the skies as it approached Splendid Valley. The sky was crisp and slightly stained with smoke. The valley below was a rocky wasteland completely barren of life. Scattered small holes were the only warnings that the caves beneath were home to dozens, if not hundreds, of the most dangerous monsters in all of Equestria. Hellhounds. I floated out my binoculars and stared towards the horizon. A sinkhole several miles across indicated where the balefire bomb had been detonated. The bomb had been snuck in underground and detonated. The surface above had collapsed into a toxin-filled tunnels below. Over the last 200 years, the sinkhole had weathered and eroded into a wide crater. It glowed faintly even in the daylight. It was marked with hundreds of holes. On the cusp of the crater, I saw the crumbled walls of the Maripony. Once a station for gem mining, the building had more in common with Shattered Hoof than any of the Ministry's hubs that I had seen. It could have passed for a fortress, but a devastated one. The explosion and sinkhole had torn away part of the foundation and crumbled the rest. About a third of the building had collapsed into the crater. The rest had suffered a megaquake. Whoa, Nelly, if the goddess Dun survived that, I reckon she'd probably earn 200 years of living. What is the plan, little one? Zenith asked. Plan? Velvet Remedy chuckled. I think Little Pip's just planning to get in there and shoot her. My friends had all spent the last couple days in much needed recovery as I had. Despite the mounting hopelessness of our mission, everyone was well rested and back in form. If I was going to fail and die, I was happy it would be like this, with these ponies. No, wait. Zebras weren't ponies with these people. Well then, it's a darn good thing I sold all those guns and bought us plenty of ammo. Even managed to get some enchanted ones for little Macintosh. Don't know if they're enchanted with goddess slaying, but we can hope. I checked my pit buck and brought up to my ice forward sparkle. I checked the date and time. Ditsy Doo should be getting her muffins about now. I smiled to Zenith. Thanks for your help with that. I'm sure she'll love them. It struck me that when Zenith and I had walked across the moat and outside the wall, I had been in the equestrian wasteland for just over 5 weeks. Now it was nearly 6. 6 weeks from apprentice pit buck technician to would-be deity slayer. My life is surreal. Velvet Remedy leaned close. So how high did you get to? I blushed hotly and buried my face in my forearms. Look sharp, Calamity called out. Incoming at high 8. My head shot up. I pulled up my binoculars again. 5 glowing orbs. Alicorn shields were heading towards us from Maripony. Damn it, I should have worn that damn enclave gear after all, Calamity cursed. Little Pip, reassemble Spitfire's thunder. We're in for a bumpy ride. I levitated the magical augmented anti-machine rifle from Calamity's holster and began putting it together. 4 midnight blue alicorns suddenly appeared, flanking us. The stars cursed me to 1,000 rays by the horn of Nightmare Moon, Zenith whispered next to me. God dang, that's so unhinged. Well, they sold excess guns. They sold guns they didn't need for ammo. You know? It's kind of... You don't need every gun for ammo. Ammo is what makes guns useful, not the gun itself. It's jogging me nearly as much as Alicorn's around. You've been around Little Pip too long, Velvet suggested, flowing out her shotgun. The Alicorns were already casting their shields. Welcome to the home of the goddess. The voice boomed in my head, reverberating with its own echoes. So wait, is this like when you walk into like a new town in a video game, you just get the little display on the top of your screen? Welcome to the home of the goddess. Location unlocked. Fast travel now available. I'm amazed how by reading this series, I can just keep running my mouth pretty much nonstop for the most part. The voice boomed in my head, reverberating with its own echoes. Oh, Velvet moaned, wavering. This is not good. Put away your puny weapons and come. You are my guests, for I, the goddess, have nothing to fear from you. Oh no. No. If she ain't got nothing to fear from us, why the show? Hell, why don't you send us packing? Zenith looked between the three of us. What are you speaking of? But I knew. Oh, by the goddess, the real ones, I knew. Heavily, I said, because she wants us to do something for her. Oh, god dang it, like another dang side quest. We were guided into the crumbling building as we landed. We saw at least 36 more Alicorns standing about the crumbling ruins in a single moment. In perfect unity, they all turned their heads to look at us. It was the unparalleled creepiest thing in the history of ever. Escorted through the doors by the 4 midnight blue Alicorns, they had dropped their shields. Honestly, they didn't need them. We were totally outmatched. I was surprised when the Alicorns brought us to what looked like the security substation within the building. This room seemed largely undamaged, save by time. The rest of the rooms and hallways we had seen were broken and crumbling, fragmented by the subterranean blast and eroded by centuries and weather. This small room was almost intact. Yeah, right? Danger. There was no goddess here. There was nothing here but some chairs, a bank of 4 dusty monitors, and a microphone, a filing cabinet, and a few ridiculous pristine coffee cups. The area above the monitors was glass. The long window looked out at nothing but a metal wall inches away. The opposite wall held a recessed door. There were odd grooves on the wall. I reckon this is our cell, Calamity said. If so, it would be stifling and cramped. If any of the Alicorns try to stay in here with us, we will talk, but first, the goddess wishes you to see, to understand, and marvel. The voice of the goddess didn't merely reverberate, I realized, it preverberated, like there were dozens of smaller, weaker voices inside that voice, all trying to say the same thing at the same time, and not quite succeeding. The voice of the goddess was a chorus. Understand what? Velvet Remedy asked. Zenith looked at her, confused. The goddess. The security monitors flickered to life under the dust. One of them displayed colorful ponies in lab coats, milling about a much bigger version of this room, full of monitors and mainframes and banks of blinking lights. Ready when you are. A Chartreuse pony with the cutie mark of a flask filled with bubbling green liquid said, glancing up at us through the monitor. These images are of the far past, Zenith intoned. The second monitor looked down on the vast factory floor. Are they gonna get dipped into liquid FEV? The factory was filled with 6 huge interconnected oh my god, are you kidding me? Oh, I just had to be right. Full of churring luminescent stews that rippled with lavender and green beneath glass coverings, the light casting colored shadows over everything. Arcane apparati hung down from the ceiling. Catwalks ringed the vats, and another hung suspended from the ceiling above, and between them, stopping midway across the room with some manner of control panel at the end. Again, with the catwalks over factory floors, aesthetics of wartime Equestria, I groused. Is that? Velvet Remedy began to ask as a single pony appeared on the third monitor, an elderly lavender pony with gray streaking purple mane. The room behind her was about the size of this one, filled with identical monitoring equipment, but where we saw only a metal wall, a picture window looked out onto the factory floor and the monitor too. Twilight Sparkle, I nodded. Your goddessness, Calamity said to the air, tapping on the last monitor. I hope you're aware this one is broken. The monitor had a large crack running through it and was displaying only rainbow splotches. Broken? What, of course I am. The goddess knows all. The little broken sub-voices continued to telepathically echo the last two words for several seconds after the goddess had spoken. Lovely, Velvet Remedy said snidely. Ready to begin pony testing, Twilight Sparkle said, sounding just a hint nervous. Send her in. Sending in subject 1. The pony on monitor, one announced. Don't call her that, Twilight warned. She trotted over to look at the window, floating a coffee cup filled with what looked like tea tea to her lips, sipping primly. She set the cup aside and leaned her muzzle over a microphone. On monitor 2, a lovely blue unicorn with a mane that had aged to luxurious silver slowly made her way out onto the suspended catwalk. They're gonna knock her into a vat of FEV. She turned and looked up the window. Twilight Sparkle, I just want to thank you again for giving me this opportunity. It means so much to me. You're welcome, Trixie. Oh, Trixie? The great and powerful Trixie? Twilight Sparkle said kindly. The name rang a bell, but it took a moment to place it. Trixie. The mare from the cottage outside Fetlock. She went to Manhattan for a meeting with Twilight Sparkle and never returned. The lavender pony hit a button with her hoof, and an ornate golden cup rose out of the console at the end of the walkway. Purple and green liquid rose through tubes running from the vats to the apparatus above. Then a thin stream poured into the cup. Oh my god, this is going to be beautiful evolution right here. Trixie walked across the platform and sniffed at the cup. Is that roses? Twilight chuckled softly. Yes, I added the scent. Hopefully it will taste like roses too. Really? Trixie looked up towards Twilight Sparkle with astonishment. Twilight's ears drooped. Unfortunately, probably not, she hesitated. Trixie, you know you don't have to do this. Oh, I want to, the blue unicorn insisted. I want to help. And this will make me more powerful, like Luna and Celestia? Well, not that powerful, but more powerful, yes. The great and powerful Trixie will drink this biohazardous slop from a cup. The great and powerful Trixie will become a Resident Evil boss before your eyes. Oh my gosh. Like you then. Twilight Sparkle looked uncomfortable. We're hoping for more than that. And it's safe, right? Absolutely, Twilight Sparkle assured the blue unicorn on the catwalk below her. All the tests have come back looking spectacular. The only variable is, well, dosage. And for that, we need to do testing with pony volunteers like you. With luck, we'll get it right the first time. And you'll be the first new alicorn since Luna was born. Oh, this is so sad. Flurry Heart doesn't exist yet. The great and powerful Trixie will become the Ouroboros virus. So this all started with Trixie as patient zero. The unicorn at the end of the catwalk nodded and mumbled something that sounded like great and powerful, smells like roses. The great and powerful Trixie smells like roses. Then looked up with wide eyes. You sure I shouldn't start with a little more then? Twilight Sparkle started to chuckle. No, on the monitors, everything happened at once. From the broken one, I could hear a terrible roar and the rainbow sprays turn to a flaring light. Dude, what stage of infection is this? What stage of infection is this? What disease is this? On the other three, the world shook. On the first, chunks of ceiling came down, some killing ponies outright, one blocking the door. A mainframe toppled in spray of sparks. On dude, Twilight created the freaking infection. We found the precursor of all AUs! On monitor 2, the entire factory floor shook. I could hear the loud twangs as several of the cables holding the suspended platform snapped out of the ceiling. Section of the catwalk fell. 2 of the vats were ruptured as a third of the ceiling came down, spilling their glowing contents into the factory floor. I could see automatic systems severing and sealing the connection with the other vats. Trixie cried out as half the cables holding her up. Section of the catwalk gave way, turning into a freely swinging platform. On the third monitor, alarms were blaring. Radiation surge detected. Seismic activity detected. Toxic contamination warning. Safe rooms. Ceiling. No, shouted Twilight Sparkles as a huge armored plate slid down above the door to her room. She turned to the window as massive armored shutters swung down the door. Trixie! Trixie! On monitor 2, Trixie's platform tipped, swinging a low arc. The unicorn slid down the inclined surface, trying to find purchase as the lower end of the catwalk segment impacted the glass roof of one of the vats, shattering it. The blue unicorn plunged into the vat. All the monitors flickered and went dead. The 4 of us stood in the security room shaken, our eyes peeling away from the monitors to look at each other. Monitor 3 flickered back on. Dear Any Pony, this is the mayor of the Ministry of Magic, Twilight Sparkle. A weakened Twilight said, It's been 2 days now since the mega spell strike on Mayor Pony. I can only assume by the lack of rescue that this was not an isolated strike. I'm leaving this record in case some pony does come. I'm trapped in a safe room 3 on the Mayor Pony Vats level. The elderly lavender pony addressed the camera. The safeguards that should allow me to open it aren't working. And unfortunately for me, I designed these rooms to withstand a nearby mega spell strike, so the room is more than a match for my own magic. Calamity, Velvet, Remedy, and Zenith, I watched the monitor, realizing we were watching Twilight Sparkle's goodbye letter. My vision began to blur wetly. I tried to force myself not to cry. I'd cried too much this week already, but the tears rolled down my cheeks anyway. I'm out of food, and the safe room's water talisman seems to have been corrupted. She gave a wry smile as she said, At least, I'm fairly confident that pure water isn't supposed to be that color. I'm also beginning to suffer hallucinations. I think that I'm hearing the screams of the ponies in Mare Pony, like something horrible is happening to them. But I know that's impossible. These walls are soundproof. I keep hearing Trixie's voice in my head, screaming. Sometimes it gets so bad. The lavender pony waved it off. Not important. What's important is that we tried. We tried and we came so very close. Another week, maybe even just a few more days, and the work we did here would have not only changed the war, I believe we could have forced a peaceful resolution. What's important now is that we still have one more chance. Find Spike. He's my most loyal assistant, my #1 assistant. Find him. Twilight Sparkle seemed to fall asleep. The monitor flickered out again. Spike? Zenith asked. The monitor burst back to life. Twilight Sparkle's haggard face had pressed close to the camera. She looked atrophied, crazy. Something's going on, dude, stage 2 infection. Something's going on here. I don't know what, but it's bad. If you're a mare pony, get out. Get out while you can and drop a Zebra missile on this place. Suddenly, there was a loud metallic grinding from the speaker below monitor 2. On the monitor, we watched as the metal plate above the door lifted. The metal shutters over the windows lifted. Monitor 2 sprang to life. The VATS room was a disaster. The floor was a waist thick in mixed fluids. Something swam in the water. No, not swam. The body of a light red unicorn pony was being dragged through the liquid by a telekinetic tendril. We watched as the tendril hauled the body out of the pool and up the side of the one VATS a moment later, the body disappeared over the lip and into the vat. Are you telling me Trixie became a sea monster? You're telling me Trixie became an octopus? Streaks of blood rose up several of the vats. On monitor 3, Twilight Sparkle was crawling towards the door, too weak from hunger and dehydration to stand. Unable to stand, she couldn't see what was just outside her window. Light flared in the room, a blue light that took the form of Trixie. The blue unicorn stood shimmering in front of Twilight Sparkle. From this angle, we could clearly make out her face as she spoke to Lavender Unicorn, who once bore the elements of magic. Oh man, you know, that's what I was figuring was gonna happen. Oh my god, I know, I've kind of been putting that together a little bit here. Yep, I know who he is. Yep, I've kind of been assessing this myself as I've been reading it. Oh man. Like, blue-white unicorn shimmered in front of Twilight Sparkle. From this angle, we could clearly make out her face as she spoke to the Lavender Unicorn, who once bore the element of magic. The Trixie illusion spoke, but no words came out. I'm sorry, Trixie, Twilight Sparkle whimpered. As the Trixie illusion's mouth continued to move, Zenith pushed past me and leaned close. Our zebra began to read the movements of the illusion's mouth. To be sorry for. Your experiment worked, after all. It worked more wonderfully than we have ever dreamed it would. Don't be sorry. Be happy. We're gonna live forever, you and I. I felt a deep, dark chill and prayed that Zenith has mistranslated that. What? I asked a startled Twilight. I'm sorry it took so long for me to be strong enough to save you, Twilight Sparkle. Velvet Remedy gases like blue tendrils of telekinetic energy snaked into the room and wrapped around each of Twilight's hooves. No, Twilight Sparkle struggled with the more strength than should have been possible. It's time to save you now, Twilight Sparkle. Zenith continued to speak for Illusion Trixie. We're going to be very close, you and I. Oh goddess, Velvet moaned and buried her face in Calamity's mane as the tendril slowly dragged Twilight Sparkle, kicking and screaming towards one of the vats. I was shaking. I so desperately wanted to turn her away, but I couldn't. Twilight Sparkle let out a last cry. She was dragged over the lip of the farthest vat. One word, a name, I think, but I couldn't make it out what it was. The two monitors went blank, and this time they stayed that way. Oh my god. Oh my hecking god. Wow, Fluttershy, did you have... And also call out your parents, your friends, your nephews, your mentors, and everything. They're gonna be coming over for hours. Just don't let them know, Fluttershy. Don't let them know you're freaking high, Fluttershy. Oh my freaking god. I, the great and powerful Trixie, has become a hive mind. God dang, that is not good. That I don't know what's scarier. The fact that Trixie, like, her powers turned her into a hive mind, or they gave her the power to become a hive mind. That is freaking nightmarish. That is straight up. What stage of infection is this? What stage of infection is this? God dang, that was too good. That was too... Honestly, if the chapter ended right there, I could be completely happy with it. That was so well done. Oh goddesses, oh goddesses, oh goddesses. I felt utterly numb with horror. Velvet Remedy was crying. Calamity looked grimmer than ever. The whole room shook, the air filling with the squeal of grinding metal. The shutters over our own window lifted. Oh my god, they were in the vat room! We stared out over the vats. This wasn't just a similar room, it was the same room. Centuries had not been kind to the room beyond. Another third of the ceiling had collapsed, as had two of the vats. The pool on the floor had turned to sludge covered with sticky layer of dust and floating debris. Swirls of colored light seeped out from one that did two still intact vats. They danced in the air, exploding like fireworks. In my head, I heard the echoes of a half-remembered fanfare, but not for the memory of my own. The great and powerful goddess welcomes you. Oh my god. Oh my hecking god. The great and powerful goddess welcomes you. I don't know how to do Trixie. Trixie is a little too bratty for my liking. Okay, how in tarnation do we kill that? Calamity, I hissed. More swirls of light lifted from the vats. They shimmered, merging together until the giant face of Trixie loomed above us. But not just Trixie, as little motes of other ponies' faces occasionally burst to the surface like zits, crawling along the head and mane of Trixie before sinking back. Fear not, for I, the goddess, already know why you have come. Red-Eye, that treacherous pony, desires my end. But the goddess is not worried, for the goddess is great and powerful, and Red-Eye is not. Oh my god. Somehow, through the sheer soul-breaking horror of what I was seeing and what I had just witnessed, the little pony in my head stomped for me to pay attention. She did not like where this was heading. Fear not, Zenith began, for I, the goddess, already. You can stop that now, Velvet Remedy hissed. Oh, gosh dang it. Zenith just keeps reading lips. Dude, this is... Yet. You cannot... Gray's power and Red-Eye's not. Yet. I squeaked and fought to find my voice. Red-Eye has seen these recordings, hasn't he? It matters not that he has seen them. That would be a yes. It matters that he has disobeyed me and plotted against me. It matters that he has been withholding from me. Red-Eye has not sent me a unicorn in over a year, and the goddess believes he will soon stand in the way of my unity altogether. Yo, what stage infection is Trixie over here, though, for real? Like, I think she's at least a stage 10 or a 6 or something. And let me guess, I prodded, you need us to kill Red-Eye for you. Please let it not be something as stupid as that. There wouldn't be enough face hoofs in the world. The illusionating firework changed. A spinning pinwheel of crimson flame swirled behind the floating glower of the goddess over signaling her displeasure. Ugh, Velvet Remedy whispered, cringing back. Even for a real goddess, this would be a bit much, she neighed. Honestly, if we must have an eldritch nightmare of arcane science goddess, does she have to be a freaky carnival sideshow goddess too? Do not be absurd. The goddess can slay him at any time I choose. But... and here it comes. It is possible that he has discovered something that may be a threat to the new, glorious world we are building, and before the goddess destroys him, I must know what that is. Well, okay, that makes much more sense, says the goddess who claimed to know all not 20 minutes ago, Velvet Remedy muttered. Calamity nudged her with a wink. Would you kindly not go upsetting the telepathic psycho gestalt? And why us, I asked. Because the secret that Red-Eye seeks, the secret hidden even the great and powerful goddess, is locked away inside a warehouse on Ministry Walk in Canterlot. Oh, so that's the place Red-Eye is trying to get into. I remembered a conversation with Watcher. Yes, one of Equestria's heroes did decide that her ministry would be the Ministry of Awesome. They have built a ministry headquarters for it on Ministry Walk. After a few years, Luna ordered it crated up, and they began using the MAW HQ for storage, with controls which can only be operated by a Pegasus. Clever, so the goddess didn't actually need me, she needed Calamity. I wondered how Red-Eye was planning to get past that, and beyond a shield which only a ministry mare can step through. And that would be the bypass that Red-Eye was trying to get through. But why did... Oh, of course, close family or direct descendants thereof. The goddess needed Velvet Remedy as well. Once again, I was the one just clearing the way. In addition, there was one thing remaining that prevents unity. A flaw in the process that must be corrected before it can be brought to every pony in this blighted land. You know, now that I've seen what this unity is all about, I'm fine with that. That is because you are only a pony. Your kind cannot thrive in this world any longer. You merely survive, and barely at that. But my children can thrive. My children are more powerful, more capable of facing the mutated dangers of this world. The very poisons which kill you make my children stronger. Your children can't even breed, I pointed out. Every single alicorn I have seen is a mare. You have no stallions. Now, I'll agree, that can be fun, but when it comes to thriving, that's a doozy of a problem. The main voice of the goddess was silent for a moment. Flares and fireworks continued to explode behind her glowing face's covered face. They whispered incoherently in my mind, giving me a headache. Like the goddess said, a flaw, but one which can be corrected with the right magic. Let me guess, you want Rarity's little black book. The goddess did need me after all. She needed some pony who could pick a lock. As our alicorn escorts marched us back to the Sky Bandit, all my friends were wondering the same thing I was. What now? The great and discriminating Trixie. That is bad. That is bad, but kind of funny. Trixie is being biased, I think is the word you are looking for. As our alicorn's escorts marched us back to the Skyman, all my friends were on the same thing. I was, what now? Can you all read lips? Xanath asked. Okay, so not all my friends were wondering the same thing. Red Eye still had me over a barrel, but I stopped like I'd been hit in the face with a bale of hay. I lost all feeling in my hooves as one more horrid realization flooded through me. Lil Pip, Calamity asked. Something in my expression was making him look very worried. She said Red Eye hadn't sent her any unicorns in over a year. My mind flashed back to experiences with slavers and the little hints that Red Eye, or at least Stern, was particularly interested in unicorns. And another unicorn, too. She'll fetch a pretty price, this one. If it wasn't a unicorn, I'd say toss it back in the lake. But if Red Eye wasn't sending unicorns to the goddess, I said darkly, then he's keeping them for himself. I turned and looked to the others in desperation. Red Eye talked about controlling the weather, moving the sun and the moon. He couldn't do that if he just became an alicorn, but he's not aiming to become an alicorn. He's aiming to become one of I pointed a hoof back at Maripony. That. Oh my god. The only way he could possibly hope to get that kind of power was to duplicate what happened to Trixie, and he'd seen the videos, and based on his claim that the fortress in the Everfree Forest was designed as a new home for the goddess, he was building a duplicate of the Maripony vats at the cathedral. He wasn't sending the goddess any unicorns because unicorns have the strongest magic of all ponies, and he was keeping them to consume himself. Oh my god. Oh my freaking god. Footnote level up, maximum level. Skills note, stealth has reached 100%. New perk, Celestia tier telekinetics. The things you can do with your levitation magic are the feats of legend. You can effectively fly at this skill level of a Novus Pegasus. Who knows, maybe you can even move the sun. We are so freaking screwed. We are doomed! Oh god. Oh god. Oh no, oh god. Oh god. Oh, that can't be good. That's gotta be problematic. Oh no, oh no. Uh-oh. 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 Dude. That almost makes losing the footage of the last chapter worth it. That is so good. That is so freaking screwed up. That is such a good story. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, hypothesis. Okay, oh my god. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. How long's the next one? I'm not gonna read another, but I want to know. 2020, oh my god, oh my god. Okay, oh my gosh. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so this is where we draw the problem. Chapter 36 is where I have to read these probably in one video at a time. Yeah, it looks like it at this point it turns very on and off one video. Well, one stream I should say, and one. Dude. The great and powerful Trixie has become a hive mind. Dude, I love this fandom. I'm freaking interested. I'm in it now. I'm invested. Minus all this ERP and crud going on inside the story sometimes, I'm absolutely all inside up on this fandom. That sounds so freaking wrong. I love this story. This is awesome. If you can get past all that cringe crud, sorry. So it is kind of cringe, but it becomes really good. Oh my god. Like, I've already thought about, like, my freaking OC in this crud, dude. Like, I seriously have, and I, I think it's awesome. This is such a fun story, and I'm absolutely a sucker for it. I'm probably gonna eventually, not anytime soon, but I'm probably gonna end up reading the other stories just the same. Because I'd say it's probably worth it. This has been an absolute blast. Maybe I'll be that guy who has read the Fallout Equestria stories, you know? Who knows, right? There's a first for everything. Every single one. I honestly don't want to, I just kind of want to keep talking about this. Oh, you got a fair point. The cringe was at maximum. Oh man, the cringe was high with this one. I would still love to shake the hand of the author who made this, though. I still absolutely enjoyed that. That was still a blast. Now I'm wondering if I should go play a game, or if that should be it for the day. Dude, Trixie the great and powerful hive mind. Dude, Red Eye wants to become a freaking hive mind, so is he gonna, like, use all the unicorns he has, like, gathered over the years? Oh my god. I have so many questions, but I'm so happy about this story. Good grief. And it gets better. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. I'm tweaking out. I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out. Oh man. Dude. Dude. I'm not gonna read this story during the weekend. I'm gonna, because that's when I have majority of my responsibilities outside of this. No, I see. Okay, so like the way I think of Trixie, I think of her as the Leviathan from Dead Space, just a giant meat blob. That's kind of how I see her. Yeah, I know she's the master. I know that's definitely where she's inspired from. The hive mind aspect to it, though, is definitely different. Which makes me wonder what other crud that could also exist in this wasteland. So she just got exposed to some radiation, right? If I'm correct, she just got drenched after a giant accident. Yeah, like seriously, like I said, I imagine. Hold on. Let's see what Wikipedia has to say. Not necessarily this. This is old. This is from the classic game. That is what I'm talking about. I believe that not necessarily this meaty though. This is chunky. But like this is kind of like the general idea I get from it if I'm being like 100% dead honest. Yuck. That thing is disgusting. Look at that beauty. This is the rough idea though I think of Trixie. Oh. So some of the potential radiation. I feel like I feel like it is partly giant Trixie, a giant Trixie head fused with like a bunch of other little heads, kind of like the infestation we have seen in Dead Space. What the heck? What the heck is even that? What is that? I don't even know. What the heck is that thing? That looks like bug eyes. I don't think that's the right game. Oh, Resident Evil 6. Oh, yeah, that's probably it. That's the problem right there. Wow. Okay. Wow. I think it's time. I'm just gonna call this stream here, anyways. I'm not sure if I want to play something. If folks have any idea, you know, you're free to suggest it right now while I'm here. Otherwise, I'm just gonna end this here, probably. Magical mist with shape. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I'm not sure. See, that's what's interesting about reading stuff, right? Your imagination. Oh, I spelt Leviathan wrong. Whoopsies. Oh well. I know how to spell it. I just did some typos. I like spooky crud. Honestly, anything. I'm pretty flexible. I'm just gonna go ahead and close that real quickly. Let me just check to make sure. Let me see what I have in the first place. If I find something interesting, I'll play that. Hmm. Stream is technically over now for, for everybody. This is now stream aftermath. Honestly, this has probably been the most prolonged after stream thing I've done. I've done Alien Isolation. I beat that sucker. I'd have to download that. I've been thinking about, let's see. It's not downloaded, but I've considered I've tried downloading some things a little bit earlier. So let's see. Hold on, let me just look. Currently downloaded, I have, it's not much. I have Witch Hunt. You got a Supermarket Simulator, anybody? That'd be interesting. No More Room in Hell and SCP Containment Breach downloaded. I wanted to download what's it called? I'm blanking. Amnesia the Bunker. I wanted to download that and play that. I thought that would be a interesting experience, probably. But maybe not. We'll see. I am going to end the stream here, though. Now we've been here long enough anyway. SCP, okay, I can do an SCP stream. That's fine. I'll play that for a little bit after this. Alright, folks, thank you for... well, I say that. I'll start up the SCP stream immediately after this, I should say. Alright, I'll start that in a second here. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for sticking through it, you folks who are still here, even after all the conversation and the story has ended. Alright.